you know, drum and bass is like one of my child, and you always want your child to do good, or your son or whatever, and that's how I want drum and bass. I'm rooting for it, and that's why even when I was working in these record companies and stuff, it wasn't about money, it was just about persuading them, letting them know that this music is about something, and trying to push it out there and get it out there, and that's always been my philosophy. So
you wasn't called an A&R, but you did with certain incredible records at Moby Go.
Congress, 40 Miles, I think we had a hit with that one as well. Brocky and all the Cool FM boys was playing this tune, and Cool FM was the sound of the streets at that time. You couldn't go anywhere without hearing Cool FM coming out of cars, cafes, bars. Everybody listened, because that was the station. You get what I'm saying? Jungle was just coming through, and it was the sound of the street. You get what I'm saying? Music is getting called jungle, which is there a debate now that some of it we should get? I don't know. I mean, I don't want controversially or what. Is it a time to call some of this music something else?
So, I'm excited. I'm always excited about these podcasts, but right now, next to me, have got, as far as I'm concerned, the ultimate music man. The DJ's DJ, the A&R's A&R, the passionate music lover's passionate music lover, right? And I think, Bryan, I speak for every jungle, drum and bass, old school, classic house music loving person when I say we all look up to you.
Wow, that's some intros. That's some intro, man.
Yeah.
But just thanks for having me on your podcast, Billy, man.
Mate, listen, I had to have you. I couldn't have Nigel up here, us go deeply in, and I said to Frost, when me and Frost were talking about yours and his history, I said, Nigel, don't take me the wrong way. I love you. I love Kenny. But Bryan's my favourite as a DJ.
I talked to Frost this morning, man, and he said, good luck, because I know you ain't going to remember anything, right? So that's the reason sometimes I don't do a lot of these podcasts, and the reason I still haven't even written a book yet, because I can't remember a lot of stuff. So good luck in dragging as much stuff out as possible, mate, man.
Trust me, I know you can remember musical things, and do you know what I'll
do my best. I'm gonna do my best.
Do you know what I love about you, right? Was when I said you've got to come up, like you have to come up, right? You said, I don't want to talk about life, I just want to talk about music. And I was like, well, that's all I want to talk to Bryan Gee about, is music. So what influenced you growing up? What was the first lot of music you started hearing?
The first lot of music? Wow, just like growing up as a young kid at home, I would say probably church music. Like my mum would she was a big fan of this artist called Jim Reeves, right? And so that was a soundtrack growing up, listening to Jim Reeves music. And then I remember, like, we used to have this like gramophone thing, like it was like a drawer, like a drawer stuff, and you lift it up, and at the turntables the old gramophone things. And there was one record I remember, I can't even remember the name of it, but I can sing a little bit. It goes, come on baby and rescue me, 'cause I need you by my side. Can't you see that I love you? Rescue me. That tune there, right? I remember it just like spinning around on a 7-inch. And I don't know why, up to this day, that always stands out as probably one of the first records that I recognised as a record, remember as a record, and loved as a tune. Like, if you say, what was the first track that you ever can remember that you liked, would have been that probably.
What year would you say that was?
Wow. I was like, God knows, I must have been about 6, 7, 8, young.
Wow.
Yeah, just young.
And you can remember it that.
Yeah.
You can remember it that vividly.
Of course, yeah, definitely, because, you know, it's just part of growing up and what you see, you know what I mean? And so that was probably the first record that stood out. Of course, reggae music was the background to growing up. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I learned lots of my brothers. You get what I'm saying? They were like always going out buying new tunes. There was one record shop. I come from a place called Gloucester.
Yeah.
It's like 30 miles outside Bristol, for people who don't know where it is. Just like a real small little town. And so if you wanted any action, you'd have to go down to Bristol. Bristol was where they, or go down to Birmingham or whatever, which was like 45 minutes. So we had one club, one record shop, just one of everything. You get what I'm saying? And a strong Jamaican community. You get what I'm saying? And it's a sort of place where if you saw a black person, even if you didn't know them, you would shake your head, you say hello to them, because you would know their family, you would know, everybody knew everybody. You get what I'm saying? It was that small that you just didn't walk past. So it was weird when I first came to London. I carried on doing the same thing. Like every time I see black people, I say hello, hello, and they'd look at me like I was mad. Like, you get what I'm saying? And so I just gradually stopped doing that. You get what I'm saying? Because I realised that vibe was different, because London's so big, and so black people didn't connect in that way as like the community vibe that we had in Gloucester. Whereas I didn't know that person, but I knew their mum, I knew their son, or I knew their brother, or they knew who we were, or whatever. So you know what I mean? You know, so
and is that how you consume? Like, how did you consume reggae? And like you're saying, church,
because it was like
music,
in Gloucester, everybody listened to reggae music. It was a strong Jamaican community, and we had one club. Everything happened at that club: christenings, weddings, and raves. Everything. It was like, even in the daytime, the men used to go there and play dominoes and that kind of stuff. So it was like a community place as well.
And where did everyone like discover their music to play? Like radio or local DJs? How you're saying, like, it was so different in Gloucester to when you moved down to London. So how did everyone
through sound systems, I guess, at that time, because you never really had the radio. At that time there was no radio where you could hear that kind of music, so it was just like the record shops and going to parties and clubs and hearing what DJs were playing. And so that's how music got, you know, that's how you got to know what was going on, through going out clubbing and listening to DJs.
And living in Gloucester, what were the first lot of DJs you heard that you can remember?
Well, there weren't DJs that time, it was sound systems.
So Selectors, sound systems,
right? So you know, wow, you know, it was a sound system culture at the time, you get what I'm saying? Whereas now, where everybody's a DJ or artist or producer, those days everybody wanted to be affiliated with a sound system, you get what I'm saying? So like in Gloucester you had like lots of different sound systems, and everyone was affiliated with one, you get what I'm saying?
Right.
And so that was the thing to do. That was the cool thing to be affiliated with a sound, you get what I'm saying?
Can you remember what sound system, the first sound system you were affiliated to?
Yeah, it was the main sound in Gloucester was called Challenger. This was like, there was this guy called Kingsley, and he took us in, me and all my boys, he took us in, and we were box boys at the time, you get what I'm saying? He was the main sound in Gloucester, and like he would represent Gloucester. Like if any sound system was to come to Gloucester, it would be us that would be challenging them. And like if there was christenings or parties, or he was the one that would be getting booked and all that. So he was the main sound system, and then you had a lot of other younger youths that were starting sound system, but he was like the older edge, you get what I'm saying? So he had the respect. And so we kind of got guided through with him. I used to hang around, we'd go to his house, he had a cellar, we used to go down there, play dominoes and just vibe and just like be his box boys, you get what I'm saying? Go around the country and carry the boxes, wire up the sound systems. I mean, that was just an experience in itself, just like the whole sound system culture thing, going out, whose duty was to do what, the vibe, the clashing with sound systems, getting dub plates cut, the whole experience of traveling in, cause we used to have a van, like a big van, and all the boxes would be in the van, and like we would all have to travel in the back of the van with the boxes, and so like the boxes would be falling over the place and we'd be all in the van, but it was fun, you get what I'm saying, you know?
How old were you when you started as a box boy?
Oh, I must have been about 12, 13.
Love that.
Yeah. 12,
Love
13.
that.
Yeah.
And you was 12 years old, being a box boy, carrying the speakers.
Yeah, I mean, it's carrying speakers, stringing up the sound system as well. Like, you get what I'm saying? Because, you know, we built, like, you didn't buy a sound system, you built it back then. You get what I'm saying? You know, you would go to someone and get a mixer, special mixers. It was all about who could go to the person and get the best mixer, because that was going to give you the best results. You used to build the sound systems. I remember, like, going to Tandy's and then places, buying the speakers. Then we would go to the wood yard, get the wood, ironmongers, get the nails and everything, and make the speaker boxes. You get what I'm saying? Ourselves, make the tweeters, the mid-range boxes, and, you know, all the wire, everything. So we built it from scratch, and then you'd have all the amplifiers, and the more amplifiers you had, the more weight line you had. You get what I'm saying? So you have to build more boxes. You get what I'm saying? And it was like, used to have Volve amps, or used to have like transistor amps and all that, and it was just like 1,000 watts amplifier, 1,000 watts amplifier, and that was a statement. When you used to play your sound systems, the more amplifiers that you had piled up was a statement of how, you know, how big and bad you were. You get what I'm saying? Like, rah, look how much amplifiers got and this and that. So that was kind of like the culture of
it.
Like,
fascinates me. 12 years of age, right, and you're introduced into that.
Yeah,
when was that? Like, what, 70s?
Yeah, God, because I'm 60 now, so you're talking, God knows. I mean, you know, for me, I don't look back. It's only like when I'm talking to guys like you,
because I want to know.
Yeah, but I'm always looking forward. You get what I'm saying? And I'm like, wow, was it that long ago? Because sometimes it feels like a long journey, and then sometimes it feels like, wow, that was not too long ago. You get what I'm saying? So it's mad.
When did you realise you wanted to be a selector?
It wasn't like, it just kind of happened. You get what I'm saying? Like, we were all around the sound systems, and like, I was like around this Challenger. That was the name of our sound system, Challenger. And we used to go out, and like as I said, I was a box boy. We used to go out, string up and all that. We used to hate it, you get what I'm saying? Because at the end of the night, everybody just wanted to go home, you get what I'm saying? And you had to kind of like pull down the sound system. You could be out of town, in country, whatever, so you had to kind of like some of these clubs as well, they'll be like, you have to carry the speaker boxes up like all kinds of stairs, and it was just mad hard work, you get what I'm saying? But you look back on it, you laugh, but it wasn't fun at the time, you get what I'm saying? And like, at the end of the night, a lot of people would disappear and all that, so there'd be more work because people just didn't want to do it, or man would just find 2 gal and gone and this and that, so we end up like just a few of us to do it. You wouldn't get back home to like 5, 6, 7, 8 in the morning. So it was crazy, but it was fun. Anyway, I carried on doing that, earned my stripes, and yeah, I've always had a good ear for music, I guess, you get what I'm saying? I don't know how I managed to, maybe because Kingsley, the guy who ran the sound system, he kind of saw the attention that I was giving to music more than probably the rest, and trusted my yeah, so like all of a sudden, like, you know, I've said this story before, with the sound system, you got like quite a few roles, but 3 main roles, and that would be the operator, who was Kingsley, you get what I'm saying? And he's usually the guy who owns the sound system. He's the operator because he's the one that kind of controls everything, mixes down the bass, brings on the treble, whatever, you get what I'm saying? He puts the records on the needles and all that, and does all that kind of stuff, you get what I'm saying? And obviously he doesn't want no one to blow his speaker boxes, so he's the one who's controlling the sound. And then you would have the MC, like back then they were called toasters, right? So they were just like, everybody would call toasters who used to chat on the mic, and so you'd have a toaster there, and then you'd have like someone who selects the music. And so I'll be in the record box, my head in the record box, just selecting the tune, because you have a big record box, like it's massive, like a wardrobe, and it would be sectioned off, parts for 7 inches, parts for 12 inches and all that, you get what I'm saying? So you have all your 7 inches or whatever, and you just select the music, and I'll give it to Kingsley, and he'd select it and put it on the tune, and then the MC would be, the toaster would be doing his thing, and that's how it kind of works, you get what I'm saying?
Mate, can you see the smile on my face, just hearing you explaining this
yeah, it was just
magical
yeah, you know,
time.
that's just how it ran. That's just how our sound system used to run. And then, like, you know, we'd have sound clashes and stuff like that with other sound systems, and those were fun. You know, you used to get dub plates cut. Some of them could be offensive. You'd make intros and stuff like that, and saying things like "suck out your mama" and this and all kind of things. You get what I'm saying? Just to kind of, it was all in jest, all in fun. You get what I'm saying? Just to get the crowd on your side and the sound.
Did the sound play any other styles, or was it just reggae?
At that time, yeah, it was just strictly roots reggae. You know, yes, steppers, dub, stuff like, you know what I mean, Twinkle Brothers, and just, you know what I mean, just dub.
Because you've got a vast array of musical knowledge, like you started the podcast singing like a soulful song, then going into like reggae sound systems. But at the time of like selecting the tunes, was there other styles of music you were checking for?
At the time, it was just like, you know what I mean, just the hot reggae tunes them that were coming out. There was one record shop in Gloucester called Les. And it was a shubbing, it was a wine bar, it was a record shop, and it was a place where at night time, you know, what would you call them? The lady of the nights would just hang out and stuff like that. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so it was a place where you didn't really want to be too hanging around, but that was the only place you could get records. And so every Friday, you get him saying, he would get his new stock in, and my brother would buy the latest tunes. And you get him saying, when my brother used to go to work, I used to sneak up into this room and play all the tunes, you know.
Wow.
And stuff. And I told him about that story the other day, and he goes, "What?" You get saying, but I couldn't, because you know, you couldn't touch his records. They were precious things back then, my brother. You get him saying, and like, if anyhow he caught me in this room.
So your brother was an influence on your
very
music.
Big, yeah, very big, because he was the one that was like, you know, he would come back with the new album from Tapazuki, the new Dennis Brown album, all the Bob Marley albums and everything. Also like stuff like soul albums as well, because he was into soul and you know, William Devon and stuff like that. You
love William Devon, yeah.
I remember that album. That's probably one of the first albums, like R&B albums, that sticks out in my mind. You get what I'm saying? You know, just be thankful.
Absolute tune. And I've got it on 12 and 7. All my sevens.
That album was on repeat in our house. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You may not drive a corridor.
All your VR.
There was another one.
You to
Give
sing.
the little man a great big. Oh, sure. So that was, you know what I mean. So stuff like that was what we grew up on.
So the sound was reggae, but you was consuming lots.
You know, just good music that was about at the time. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, mate, I love that. So you started like age of 12 carrying the boxes, working your way up through the sound system. Was you good at school? Was you
No.
You was naughty at school?
Yeah. And that's you know, I had problems at school. I wasn't very
attentive.
I wasn't very good, and I got expelled. Got expelled 2 years before you finish school.
Yeah, same as me. So my mum's always ashamed of that. But
so it's just like ended up the last 2 years, which I kind of regret now, because it was a very important part of me, of my education and stuff. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I wasted none of that. I wasted, because you know, you're just young and you end up hanging around the wrong people and doing the wrong things, and that's what I did. You get what I'm saying? And I think I was sidetracked by music as well.
Yeah,
and so a lot of things was just like, school was just not for me.
It just did. It was the same for me. Like, once I discovered music, once all the elders had influenced me, and I'd seen that like their exciting lives were far more. For me, school was just. It was just music.
So I used to go around my friend's yard, Russell. It's weird because I saw him on tour actually. While I was on tour last year, we did this tour of Asia, me and Paul T and Ed O'Brien and all that, and we went to one of those countries in Asia, and I saw my boy Russell. He's a teacher out there, because you know, a lot of people left England and they go out to these Asian countries and they teach teach English. You get what I'm saying? And stuff like that. You get what I'm saying? And I'm like, Russell, how the hell are you out here doing teaching? I used to come. We used to bunk up school and come to your yard, and you used to encourage it, and we just smoke weed and do wrong things, and now to see you're a teacher, you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
When we were bunking school and like at your house all the time, and he just laughed and all that, you know what I mean? So that was just good to see, you know what I mean?
You know the mad thing with me, I got thrown out of school, but I've taught my kids the opposite. Like, they've been to college, they've been to uni, because you want your kids to do the opposite. Like you said, like you wish you'd done different things at school.
Definitely.
I have no regrets, but I'm conscious about learning things that I didn't learn.
Yeah,
you know?
I got a lot of regrets about that, you get what I'm saying, because I missed out on a lot of education and just learning like important things about life and stuff, and it was hard enough as well just growing up like without a father figure as well, you get what I'm saying, because I never had a father. My father was there, but we didn't grow up together, you get what I'm saying? So I didn't have that father figure around me, just my mum, you get what I'm saying? And she had 7 kids, 7 of us to look after, so it was hard for her, you get what I'm saying? And yeah, you know, so I just kind of like lost the plot and just did my own thing and just went off the rails, you get what I'm saying?
What year did you get thrown out of school? I'm trying to
it would have been like 2 years before you finished school, so I'm not sure what year it was.
Mid to late 70s?
Yeah, and first they sent you to this place where you're supposed to report to like a detention, like a place where kids that get kicked out of school got to go.
I had all that as well. They used to send me to like go here and try and get a job, or go here and all of that. I had all that.
That didn't last long. So that's just ended up around Russell smoking weed.
And so you pretty much every week you're out with a sound system?
Yeah, we used to play about, you get what I'm saying, all over like Bristol, you know, Swindon. Yeah. You know, we played a lot around in Gloucester as well. So we used to always be playing.
When did you start buying a vast amount of records and going from like selecting for the sound system and listening to your brothers? At what point in your life did you start like consuming and buying lots of records?
I remember my first album was an album called Frontline. Virgin put it out. It was 99p.
Yeah,
and that's why I bought it, because it was really cheap.
And it was like a compilation, wasn't it, of various reggae tracks?
It was like a black fist.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
and it's got blood coming down.
Yeah, it had you, Roy Natty.
Yeah, you know the album. Yeah,
it had you, Roy Natty Rebel on it, and other stuff.
I'm a rebel.
So Rebel.
And Mighty Diamonds and all them kind of tunes on it. So it was a bargain for 99p.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? I was just like, wow, I can afford that. So that was my first ever album. But I'd say probably I remember going to London, like Kingsley would give me some money for the sound system and say go to London and buy some tunes. And I remember going to Brixton Market. There was a guy called George, Chinese George, and he had a stall in the market, and I just remember going there and buying the Aswad track, so that I remember buying that tune. So that was probably my first visit to London, and just stunned by being in Brixton and like hearing so much about Brixton, and from someone coming from Gloucester, and finally in London and in Brixton, this place that I've been hearing about like all my life, you get what I'm saying, and fascinated to be in Brixton Market and just taking it all in, you get what I'm saying, and thinking to myself, this is me, man, you know what I mean? I need to be here, you get what I'm saying? Just knowing that, I just felt like I needed to be in London. I need to be here to just carry on what I need to do, or out, you know what I mean, carry on my journey. Is like, because Gloucester was really slow and quiet, you get what I'm saying? Like, as I said earlier on, if you wanted any action, you have to drive down to Bristol or Birmingham or whatever to really, you know what I mean? And so things were, it was a quiet place, you get what I'm saying? So yeah, most people would leave Gloucester and move on to other places to kind of like progress.
So what year did you move to Brixton?
Mate, you're killing me now, man. I told you, man. He
can remember tunes, he can sing songs.
Listen here, man. It's like, what do you say again? What year?
What year did you move to Brixton?
What happened is, I moved to Hackney first. When I first come to London, right, it was like everything just kind of happened. You know, my sister was living in Hackney, And we used to come down and see my sister and spend the weekend and go out raving. And we used to go to some places called, well, you lot ended up doing
Four Aces.
Four Aces, yeah. That was one of the very first places I went when I first came to London. You get what I'm saying? Four Aces, and then there was another club called Cubies. And Shaka used to play there as well, so we used to go there. And then there was a place called All Nations over in I think it was Acne as well. All Nations. Oh, this place was just sick. It was just like lovers rock and lots of like soul music, and everybody dressed up. The girls, them just looking all beautiful. The guys, them just looking cool and all that. Them times everybody was wearing beaver hats and stuff like that. And that's, you know, I was like, that's it, man. That's it. I'm not going back home. And I stayed with my sister in Apney, and then I outstayed my stay. And she said, you can't stay. You got to find somewhere else to go. You get what I'm saying? And so, yeah, I managed to find a little squat in London, and yeah, ended up squatting in London, in South London, and staying.
And at the time, was you working? What was you doing for money to feed your like inquisitiveness about buying records?
This is weird, you know, because my first so like I'm squatting in Brixton now, and I need money and stuff like that. So I'm in Brixton Market, and I asked them for a job, and they give me a job. And so my first job was working in Brixton Market as a cleaner, like cleaning the floors, washing the floors, and like you had all these stores, like the meat stall, the vegetable stall, the fish stall, everything. And like when they finished their stuff, they would throw out the boxes on the floor and say, like, Gary, come pick up the boxes. So I had to pick up the boxes. I used to have a trolley, and I used to take them outside around the back of the market, and there was a big furnace, and I used to burn everything. And then like at the end of the day, when the market was closed, I used to have to like hose the floor, get all rid of the fish blood, all the dirt on the floor, sweep the floor, everything. On a Saturday afternoon, I'll be there, and I felt like raw, because I used to see like enough girls and stuff like that. And, you know what I mean? And I'm there just doing this sweeping up job and shit like that. But I just did it for like about a year. You get what I'm saying? And yeah, I loved it. But yeah, that's, you know, you have to start somewhere, man. So
of course, we all
my first job was sweeping Brixton Market and cleaning the floors and picking up the fish heads. And
how long was you squatting for?
I squatted until they said you can't stay here no more. And them times there, right, it was so easy to squat. You just like see an empty place and you just go in there and it's yours. You get what I'm saying? And like no one did anything. Like it was just common at that time. So we were squatting in Brixton in this nice house and all that. And they came and said, no, you can't stay here, but we'll give you a flat.
When you say we, who was you squatting?
I was with my good friend, you know Donovan Bad Boy Smith? Yeah. His brother.
Right,
Me and him grew up together, and we did everything together. Boston, his name is Bossa Move and all that. So we were living together, and a few other friends from Gloucester, and we were all squatting.
Wow.
Yeah, so
because when I think of Gloucester, I think of Donovan Bad Boy Smith as well.
Well, Donovan is weird, because Donovan was like a mentor to me as well, because I remember growing up, like me and Boston, his brother, like we were into reggae, we were doing the Sound System Challenger together and all that. But when we used to go back to Donovan's house, because Donovan, his mum was the coolest mum ever, you get what I'm saying? Like she was gangster, you get what I'm saying? And she would chat with all the young girls. I mean, every time you go to Donovan's house, right, she'd be like, what you got for me? And this and that, and she could have banter with the kids. It wasn't just like certain parents where you'd be just like, all right, Mrs. this or whatever, but you could have banter, you can talk about any shit that was going down in your life, bad things, good things, you could talk to her about it, and she would give you advice or whatever. You could open up to her, you get what I'm saying? So Donovan had a real cool mum, you get what I'm saying? And like we would all go around there and hang out and stuff. But Donovan was always into this like funky, he had all this Jerry curl stuff, right? And he was into this like jazzy funky stuff, and we kind of like looked at it as like, what is all that kind of like, you know what I mean? dancing and pretty air and all that kind of stuff. You get what I'm saying? And so we just kind of like, whatever. You get what I'm saying? Because we were just hardcore into our roots, and we all had dreadlocks and stuff like that. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But what happened is when I went to jail, I'm jumping the gun now. But when I ended up going to jail, and I came out of jail, this is in London now, because I'm kind of really jumping the gun.
Right, are we in the 80s?
Yeah, yes. I'm jumping the gun just to kind of tell you
a story.
Yeah, my story with Donovan. Donovan really, like, what happened? I went to jail and only knew about reggae music. Sitting in jail now, I ended up banged up with some soul ed and whatever, and so we just ended up listening to Robbie Vincent every day, Tony Blackburn, Dave Pearce, all these kind of. I'm like, okay, yeah, because I'm open for music and stuff, so I'm starting to listen to stuff. So when I come out now, I'm really into this stuff, and it was Donovan that I went to and cleaned out his record collection. You get what I'm saying? Cleaned out, because it was a time where he just wanted to get rid of all his records, and I was just cleaned out all his Roy Ayers and all his classics clear, and so much gems. You get what I'm saying? I'm talking like gems, you know, James Brown, Lynn Collins, Zap, everything.
Right, can I say Donovan Bad Boy Smith, I've got to big you up, right? Because a few years ago he posted a video of a load of records from your shed, all the kind of music you're just talking about, and I thought, wow, we've got
most of them probably were Donovan's,
right? We got similar record collections, and I've got to ask him about getting records from all that point, right? Donovan, you've got to come and sit in this chair, mate.
Serious,
because
Donovan,
seriously,
he is like
that has just blown my mind.
Like, even now, it's weird when I talk to Donovan now. If we were a drum and bass tune, you just recognise that's the sample from, and you know exactly where that sample from, what group, what year, what album. It's not. Oh, you need to definitely
mate, you've just blown my mind. Like you because there's always someone who influences someone else, and you've just like my inquisitive mind. Because I wanted to talk to you about like jazz, funk, and soul, and you've just told me. You've just said like going to prison hearing Robbie Vincent, Tony Blackburn, Dave Pearce. I love Dave Pearce. I grew up listening to him. Tony Blackburn, me and Frost was saying what an influence he was on.
Yeah, in a weird way, because he was a pop DJ kind of at first, but then when he went on to Radio London, he started to kind of roll out some beats, like some R&B stuff and more soul stuff and funky stuff. Yeah. And so it was like, it was listening to him every day was just like a learning process. You get what I'm saying?
Because Radio London was wicked. They had like Dave Pearce and Roger Johnson on Night FM. They had Tony Blackburn during the day.
That's right.
Radio London. I used to love looking into that.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Do you mind saying why you went away?
I don't mind. You know, like when I came to London, I said, this was during, just after probably like working in the Brixton market and stuff like that. I think I probably left there around about the same time. You just kind of end up hanging out with the wrong kind of crew. When I look back on it now, you know, there was some guys in Brixton that I kind of started to hang around with, and it was the wrong sort of guys. You get what I'm saying? And we ended up starting to do robberies and burglaries and stuff like that. You get what I'm saying? And you know, it went on and on and on until you get caught. You get what I'm saying?
And sorry, mate. Sorry, go on.
Yeah, you get caught, and we did a robbery in Brixton, just outside the Prince of Wales, actually, right on the corner where the KFC is. You get what I'm saying? Right there, and we did a robbery there, and everyone else got away except for me. But I tried to get away. I was the one that got caught, and one of my friends who did the robbery that I was with, he held a knife to a man's neck and marked his neck. Right. And so so I went to court now, and you know, they asked me, I wouldn't give my boys in, you get what I'm saying? You know, so I took all the rap for myself, you get what I'm saying?
And how long did you go away for?
2.5 years. And that was 2 years that I made sure, I said to myself, I'm never ever gonna do this again, you get what I'm saying? Because just like the minute I heard that key lock, that door, and you know what I mean, and you're locked in that cell, is a feeling that I never forget, you get what I'm saying? And it's like, I was determined not to go back there again, you get what I'm saying?
What was that, mid-80s?
Yeah.
I judge everything from music, so when you're saying Dave Pearce and Tony Blackburn, my brain is taking me back to that
era. That's the era
period. So would you say that was a turning point of you coming out and going, I've got to be serious about music? When did the serious...
I mean, I always loved music, but I probably coming to London, because I was doing the sound system thing when I was in Gloucester, but then coming to London, I wasn't with the sound system, so I had nothing to do, you get what I'm saying? And I was idle, so that's how I ended up with the wrong people, doing the wrong things and stuff. Going to jail just like put me back on focus, because this story I've told many times already, right? But when I was in jail, weirdly enough, I was banged up with this crazy DJ that just loved funk and R&B and stuff. He was the one that kind of put Rob, because I wouldn't be listening to Rob, I wouldn't even know who Robbie Vincent was, you know what I mean? So he was like, and I'm listening to stuff, and at first I wasn't into it. It's Robbie Vincent and Tony Black, but then things grow on you, you get what I'm saying? You're in jail, you listen to anything, you get what I'm saying? I listen to John Peel. I love John Peel because you just, you know what I mean? Steve Wright in the afternoon, right? Listen to everything, and you look forward to it because you're in jail. What else have you got to look forward to? Nothing else. So end up listening to all this music. I'm just loving it, and just looking forward to Robbie Vincent. He was the one, because like you and Tony, like Blackburn and Jeff, them guys, Jeff Young and Dave Pearce and all them guys there, they would play like a lot of the regular stuff, but Robbie Vincent would go deep. You get what I'm saying? He would like just delve into that deeper stuff, not the stuff that you kind of hear out there all the time, but he was like a connoisseur, you get what I'm saying? And so I love Robbie Vincent, you know what I mean? And yeah, man, as soon as I come out, I was like, this is some of the direction that I want to go in musically, you get what I'm saying? So I started to look for all this music. I started to just look for this music, started to do house parties when I was in just around Peckham and Brixton and all that stuff. I built a sound system, called it Clear, because there was a funk group called Clear. And I really liked their stuff, you get what I'm saying? So I said, that KLEER. That's Clear, right, because you had sound systems called Maze at the time, and Touch of Class and Funkadelic, all after like funk groups or whatever, you get what I'm saying? Like Maze and stuff like that. So I thought, Clear. So I went with Clear, and we used to do house parties and stuff like that. And that's when I decided to go to Donovan's to enhance my selection and you know what I'm saying? Yeah. And so that's when I raided his house and took all his tunes, and just kind of liked that time. The rare groove thing was really massive. Like you had big sounds like Mystery and stuff like that, and you had stations like LWR, JFM, Solar Radio and stuff like that at the time, you get what I'm saying? So before LWR, JFM, Solar Radio and stuff like that. So I used to listen to these stations avidly and just get knowledge about, you know what I mean,
tunes
music and stuff like that.
What was going on. So you think prison changed your life?
Definitely, you know what I mean? Definitely. I was never that sort of person. You get what I'm saying? I was always just like more into music, and I just think coming to London, just, if I wasn't really, I just got, when you just you're just following the crowd and you end up doing something, but it would, that sort of stuff wouldn't have been something that I would have intentionally thought of doing on my own. If I was like, on my jacks, let me just walk around and do some whatever. But I was just, I'm not trying to blame it on people, but I was just...
Well, you was young, impressionable.
Yeah.
So when did you start on pirate radio?
That started as well around that same time. I'm in my house now listening to the same stations I'm talking about, JFM, Solar Radio, just going through the DAR, listening to all the pirate stations. And then this pirate station called Quest FM pops up. And I'm listening to them because they're playing good music. And then the DJ's like, if anyone wants to join the station, give us a call, blah, blah, blah. So I was like, okay. So give them a call. this guy called Gary M, he ran the station. He said, yeah, come down. I said, where are you based? He said, yeah, Balham. So I went down there, and it was this old derelict house. It was really like squatty, like mashed down house, and like you had to go upstairs, and when you go upstairs now, some of the stairs were missing. So if you not careful, you know what I mean, one of the ones you're gonna fall down into some deep hole. So I'm like, rah, you know what I mean. So anyway, I went down there, met the guy, and he goes, yeah man, when can you start? Straight away I was like, yeah, okay, cool. So I turned up the next day with my records, and there was this girl called DJ Caroline, and she was on before me, and she was like, coming up next we got, what's your name? And I was like, well, my sound's called Clear. She goes, what's your name? I was like, Gary. And she says, yeah, but what's your DJ name? And I never thought about that at all until I got there. I was like, DJ name? No, I didn't think about that. She goes, what's your name then? I said, like, Gary. She goes, Gary doesn't sound good. What's your second name? I said, Bryan. So she goes, all right, then why don't we just call you Bryan Gee?
And so, that was it.
Yeah, so I was like, okay. And it sounded really weird to me because it was just like my name, Bryan.
And that was it.
Yeah, Bryan Gee. So I said, okay, cool. And I sat down and I was Bryan Gee. You get what I'm saying?
Did you ever see Caroline now?
I haven't seen her for years now.
Wow.
I haven't seen her now. Well, yeah.
That has blown my mind.
Yeah. So that's how I got the name Bryan Gee. It wasn't something I wish now I had time to think about something like that, and I would have come with a crazier name. You get what I'm saying? Something like Groove Rider, you know?
Jumpin Jack Frost,
Fabio, yeah? A sexy name, you know what I mean? But because it's my surname, it's nothing new to me. It's just my name.
No, the name's cool.
Well, it's grown on me now, you get what I'm saying? But yeah, so that's how it started. So yeah, that's how my radio career started. So we was doing Quest FM, and the venue got a bit bait and all that, and so they closed it down, and we decided to carry on with some new guys, some reggae guys that I knew from Brixton. They invested in it, and they said, let's take it to Brixton. So we brought it to Brixton, and we had it in my house, in my bedroom, for about 2 years.
Wow, you had pirate radio in your bedroom.
Yeah. Passion Radio, it was called. Passion Radio. It was a big station in Brixton, and I see people like Commander B. What's the real big DJ on BBC Radio 1 now? Big reggae DJ. They all started off in my bedroom. You know what I mean? And I like. The guy that Howard, that used to run the station, or invested in the station, he had a reggae label as well. So he used to bring through all of these reggae artists, and they used to all come through the house and sit down to do interviews, and like so it was weird because I'll be seeing all these reggae legends just in my yard, just coming through daily, just sitting down doing interviews with Chris Goldfinger. That's it.
Goldfinger, Chris he was on the tip of my tongue.
Chris Goldfinger. All them guys, they start MCing, DJing in my yard. You get what I'm saying? Commander B, enough of them. You get what I'm saying? So Courtney Melody, enough of them. And so yeah, it was good seeing all like Leroy Smart, all these legendary reggae artists just in my yard passing through. But it got a bit much because you're talking about having a pirate radio station in your bedroom for like 2 years. You're talking 24 hours a day. You got DJs just coming in, out to your house. So it affects your private life. You get what I'm saying?
Wow.
Because like I'm trying to hide that I've got a pirate station in my yard, and when I'd invite girls or friends round, I'm trying to close the door, and they're like, why is people coming and going like every couple of
This
hours?
seems almost unreal.
Because I'm trying to keep it undercover, but I'm not really doing a great job of it, because it's hard when you got people every 2 hours, the door's knocking, people are coming in and people are going, and you're trying to just like lie about what's going on in your house. You get what I'm saying?
I think
and the threat of just like getting your door kicked off any moment now, because you don't know when the DTI are going to turn up and stuff, so you're always on edge. You get what I'm saying? Like even in your bed you're on edge. And because it was like in my house now, every time the radio station got raided, the boss would call me up and he goes, oh, you got to go and see what's happened. And so I had to go to Kennington. That's where the rig was, and the aerial and all that shit, and we had to see if it was either DTI or it was a rival station, because we used to have lots of rivals that would steal other stations' rigs just to get them off air so that they could get the listeners. You get what I'm saying? So it was a common thing. You get what I'm saying? If you knew where someone's rig was, you go there, you nick it and keep it for yourself, and you know that you're going to get their listeners, because it's a fight for listeners. You get what I'm saying?
We've had some brilliant pirate radio stories on this, right? Vibes was running his pirate radio station from his mum's garage and got raided at his mum's. But I think yours is fascinating me more. 2 years, 24/7 round the clock. Right, but you had a boss of the station who was telling you what to go and get this, go and do that. But it was in your house.
3, 4 in the morning, he would call me because I'll be sleeping, because I'm not listening to the station all the time. I'll be sleeping and all that. And he goes, because at night time we used to play lots of R&B and smooth music and stuff, and so he'd be up there listening. I'm not at the station, but he'd be there listening to the station with his girl and stuff, and all of a sudden the station get cut off, and you call me, Gary, and and I have to run down to Kennington to see if it was a DTI or what happened and stuff, and you know what I mean, we'd be off, and then the next day now we'd have to go over to North London and get another rig built or order another rig, and it take us a couple of days, and then you have to buy another aerial again or whatever, or if it's DTI, and put the fucking aerial back up, and oh man, it's just mad, but it's just what you did. You get what I'm saying?
I love this story.
But, and you know, the mess as well, it was just like, because you know what people are like, you get what I'm saying? So they come with chips, Kentucky, beer, drinks, cigarettes. So the place was just a mess, you get what I'm saying? But I don't know, I did it, you get what I'm saying? Because I did it because it was, where else could we put the station, and then eventually we found somewhere else to put the station. No, what happened is at that time, the governments were giving out licensing for stations and all that. You get what I'm saying? And we wanted one. We were like, you know what? Because we had a big, strong community in Brixton. Everybody knew Passion Radio. We had the whole South London in our hands. Like, everybody listened to Passion. It was like every car on the street, everywhere you go, Passion. You get what I'm saying? So we thought, yeah, let's go for it. So they said, listen here, if anybody who was applying for the station, they cannot be broadcasting. You gotta come off the air and all that. You get what I'm saying? And we didn't want to do that. You get what I'm saying? Because advertising money is coming in, everything we love doing. So we decided, let's plot the station over East London and give it a new name, call it Lightning instead of Passion, and then all the DJs just change their names until the application of the license goes through, and then if we get it.
Sorry, did Lightning was on Kiss's 94, wasn't it, when Lightning come on? Kiss went and Lightning was on.
Well, that was Passion. Lightning was my station.
Yeah, and then Lightning went on to the Kisses dial. When
I don't know where it went, because I
mate.
left it with some kids.
I remember listening to. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
I was having my own reminiscent moment about Lightning.
So we call it Lightning, and we went over to Bow and broadcasted from over Bow to make it look like it wasn't us. Yeah. And everybody had to change their names. All the DJs. That's how Frosty actually. That's how, because Nigel's name was. He had some street thug name before, right?
What, was Nigel?
Yeah, Nigel. It was a name where you wouldn't want to meet that person when you hear the name. You're like, right? But it was a road name. I forgot what it was, but it was a thug out name, right? And that was his name at the time. And then we had to all change our names, and somehow he came up with Jumpin Jack Frost, and I came up with De Niro. Can you believe it?
De Niro.
Oh, the nothing. Even when I get time to think about a name, I still come up with a shit one.
De Niro.
So we was on the station now, De Niro, Jumpin Jack Frost, and then Choice FM ended up getting the license.
Right, I remember that.
Yeah, Choice FM got the license, so we said, fuck it, let's go back to our normal selves, because I just wanted to get rid of that De Niro tag, right?
I can't believe it was De Niro.
I had all these jingles. De Niro. I still got them now, De Niro, in a Barry White voice and all that stuff.
We've got to hear them.
Right? And Frost was like, you know what? I'm running with this Jumpin Jack Frost.
Frost.
I'm not going back to that thug that name. You get what I'm saying? And so he decided to keep his name Jumpin Jack Frost. And so yeah, that's just a story about
So when the radio station was in your house,
yeah, in my bedroom.
Was you playing out at like local gigs and stuff?
Not as like at that time. You get what I'm saying? You know, I was just kind of like more. I was doing a bit of stuff. Yeah, I was doing bits, but not as much as I would have liked to.
Was you getting paid for having the radio in your? No. You were just privileged to have the radio.
I don't know where the advertising money was going to, right? But advertising money was coming in. But Howard was the sort of person that you dare not ask about. He was like a don back then. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
And feared. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so like you just did what you was told and. Money. I mean, he looked after me and made sure I was all right. But it wasn't just like. You know what I mean? Getting money. But you know what? Back then, it wasn't about the money.
You just wanted to think about the money.
Yeah. It was all about the music, Bill. You get what I'm saying? It was like we did things for the love of the music.
Of course, yeah.
You know, maybe blindsided. We should have thought more about money than times there. But we were just glad to play music.
Yeah.
You know, some of them gigs, their early gigs, I would have paid to go there. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Just to play.
So how was your fault? You carried on doing your jobs and your odd jobs and stuff like that to pay for your records or pay for living?
You know what? I'm thinking back now and I'm just thinking to myself, I don't know how I survived back then. You get what I'm saying? You know, I think like the money wasn't coming in from gigs and stuff like that, and I was probably on the dole at that time.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? So I was just stretching out my dole check every 2 weeks.
It fascinates me that you're so passionately around the radio.
Yeah, I mean, you know what I mean? We used to, like, you know, I used to love smoking and stuff. And we, you know, when I was on the dole, we used to end up having to buy ash because ash could go stronger. You get what I'm saying? And like, as soon as we get your dole check, we'd buy a special brew or whatever. You get what I'm saying?
Special brew. My dad, he used to drink like 6-7 of them a day. That was my dad's thing. My dad's thing was special brew. But, yeah, fascinating. Your pirate radio story fascinates me.
I mean, yeah, the pirate radio story. I mean, like, I used to do a show called a promo show, and it's basically what I'm still doing right now. You know what I mean? Like, Nigel had a show on there. We all had our shows and stuff, and basically what we used to do back then. We used to always, all the record companies used to go around and used to collect promos, and that's how I got into like the industry side of things.
Yeah.
Because we used to go around, especially like West London. It was just like West London was just blessed with record companies. You know, you had Virgin and all these companies around Ladbroke Grove area and stuff like that. Loads of labels and record companies that time.
Yeah, because you've always been that. You've always just been music,
Cool
record
Tempo,
minded,
Champion. We used to go to all London, FFRR, Virgin, all the little labels, and we used to go around there and just get promos, get the latest promos from all these companies. You get what I'm saying? And starting to build relationships with club promotion people and A&R people in these places. You get what I'm saying? You know, because this was the birth of the rave scene going on, so people knew Jack's more Jack than me, because Jack Frost was Jumpin Jack Frost.
Yeah, he was getting
one of the first DJs that kind of broke through when the rave thing started. So
how did you meet Nigel?
I done meet him. Wow. So let's go back then. It's like Nigel's got a different story about this, you know.
Right, this is good. Right? This is good because I want to hear the different story.
I heard him say a few times that he saw me in a pub or something like that,
and he tried to sell you a watch.
And I remember that. But my first memory of Nigel, I'll tell you, my first memory of Nigel, he probably didn't even know I was watching him, right? Because he's just like roamed Brixton with some rude boys. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
And like I was just come to Brixton, and there was these places called Shepherd and Glengall and what's the other place? There was this there was these little community centres anyway where everybody would hang out. You get what I'm saying? Shepherds and oh man. Anyway, and I used to see Nigel, and all his boys, and I used to pick up Late Elvis, all them boys, and I used to think they just look like bad boys. You get what I'm saying? You could tell from afar. You get what I'm saying? Like these boys, you know what I mean? Could be trouble.
Yeah.
So like, and then I'm there in my house now, right? And me and Donovan Bad Boy Smith's brother, right? We decided to start selling weed, right, from my place in where I'm living in Cowley Estate. And we're selling weed now, and then the door knocks, and I see this guy with a big, long, dirty scar cut. I mean, it looked like someone cut it just like an hour ago or whatever. Right. That's how fresh the wound looked. Like it was a big, long scar. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I was like, fucking hell, man, this guy just looks scary. And it was Nigel. You know what I'm saying? And he goes, yeah. You got any weed? And I was like, no, because someone just told me this could be like me and Donovan's brother Boston. We're just small fish. We're in Brixton, right? And we're selling weed on the block.
Yeah.
And we ain't really. So, you know what I mean? We're easy prey, basically. You get what I'm saying? You know what I mean? We don't know nobody. Nobody don't really know us. So I'm thinking to myself, we need to be careful who we sell to, because you get what I'm saying, we could get taken out. And I said no, I'm not, you know what I mean? And just cause I didn't want him to come into the house, you get what I'm saying? So I said no, right? Thinking to myself, if I let this guy in and let him even know that I'm selling weed, maybe he might go back and tell his boys, they got weed there, because we're sitting ducks. We can't go to police. We're sitting ducks. You get what I'm saying, right? So I'm like, no way, Nigel's coming into my yard. Right? So we left it at that. Now I'm like, phew, let's be careful, man, and keep an eye on all this shit. Then there's this pub just down the road, just actually where the riot started, and I was playing like R&B and funk and all that stuff on a Sunday in this pub. Little residency. He rolls up in that pub again with his cell, like him again. You get what I'm saying? And that's when he came over to me and tried to sell me the dodgy watch, dodgy watch and stuff. And I didn't buy it or nothing like that, but we ended up talking, and I'm playing some funk and all this and that, and he's like, started to talk to me about the tunes and stuff that I was playing and all that. You get what I'm saying? So I'm telling him like, it's this tune, this is that, and this is that, and he's asking me questions about it. I'm like, oh yeah, man. I said, what? You got beats? You got tunes? He goes, yeah. I love this stuff. I got a lot of this stuff. I said, well, come on the radio and play some tunes with me then, man. He goes, well, I said, yeah, come on, man. He goes, all right then. So that's how our friendship just out of nowhere, from me kind of like thinking, fuck me, I don't want this guy coming in my yard, right? To him trying to sell me a dodgy watch, to me just kind of saying, come and play some tunes on the radio. It's just weird, you get what I'm saying? How everything just turned around, you get what I'm saying, from and I trusted him, I liked his vibe, you get what I'm saying? We both like loved the music and stuff, and I said, come and play some tunes. He was like, radio, because it wasn't his thing, you get what I'm saying? And I said, come man, just come down and play some tunes. And that's how our friendship started.
Because he really looks up to you, and he's like really grateful and really thankful.
Listen,
and
this journey that we've both been on, I don't think we couldn't have done it without each other. We could not have done it without each other. And every step that I make, you get what I'm saying, Nigel's there guiding me, giving me inspiration, you get what I'm saying? It's like I feed off him for so much energy and stuff, you get what I'm saying, that he brings, and good ideas, and he always brings positive energy and stuff, you get what I'm saying? He's just like, boy, Nigel, man, like I couldn't have gone nowhere, like, because I'm a more like chill person, you get what I'm saying? And Nigel is out there making all those connections, you get what I'm saying? And he'll make those connections, and I would just kind of make sure those, you know what I mean, those things happen. So he'll just like, this, that, and I would just do my best to make it happen. You get what I'm saying?
Because you couldn't be any more different to each other.
Yeah, and
That
our
you could
personalities
not be
as well.
any different.
Our personalities, I think, has been good because, like, you know, Nigel can be a really hot-headed person. You get what I'm saying? Whereas I can be really chilled, and sometimes we need that, both of us, to kind of, like, me to get a bit more angrier and him to get a bit more chilled. So we need each other to kind of do that to each other. Like, you get what I'm saying? Sometimes he stir me up and I'm thinking, yeah, you're right, you know, because I might be a bit too relaxed about it. I'm like, yeah, you're right, you know, Nigel, we got to deal with this. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We can't let this as a liberty. You get what I'm saying? And then he'll be like, where's my knife? Where's my gun? I'm like, hold on a second. You get what I'm saying?
Because he said that a few times you've had to take his knives off him and hide them from him and say,
I've had to calm him down and said, listen, hold on a sec, just think about it. Don't want to. Yeah, you're right, you know. Yeah. So that balance, you get what I'm saying, has helped both of us to be where we are. Because
when we released his book, and do you remember when your son did the talk with us all over in Brick Lane Way?
Yeah.
You and him, the difference between you all, I walked around and I said, Bryan's an angel. Like, Bryan's like all the stuff over the years, like, you're just so different. But we got the musical, we both got the musical, and we both got the same taste, you get what I'm saying? You know, when it comes to music and stuff, we can, and that's how we've connected, right through reggae, through R&B, through, and you know, jungle, drum and bass, the whole thing, you get what I'm saying? We're always on that same path, you get what I'm saying? It absolutely works. It like the energy. That's why he can just leave me to do the air now, because he trusts me, you get what I'm saying? He knows that, you know what I mean? He trusts me. It completely has always worked. So you're on the radio together, the way he describes it is you take him under your wing, like, well, you know what, it's like, and teach him about radio. I always think, like, you know, people always try to big me up for certain things that are supposedly are done, and it's just, for me, it's just the way our things just panned out, you get what I'm saying? It wasn't just like some big thought out thing, like, I'm gonna take this guy under my wing or whatever. And all the artists I've worked with as well, you get what I'm saying, or signed or whatever, it's just been a vibe thing, and things that just fell into place at the right time, you get what I'm saying? So, you know, some of the tunes I've signed, people are like, rah, you signed that tune? I'm like, you know what, anyone would be a fool not to sign it. So it's really, some of the things have been a no-brainer. That's how I see it anyway. Maybe I'm being a bit too humble, but I just think, like, you know what I mean? Like, if I didn't sign or recognize Marky or whatever, somebody else would, because the talent is there in your evident. It's just kicking at you. It's there. How can you not see what? Do you know what I mean? What I'm seeing. So if I didn't do it, someone else would do it. You know what I'm saying? The thing I love about you, right, and I really love it about you, is you just don't like praise for the incredible things how we see it, how we see it as your peers. Like trust me, this, like, no matter what musical conversation I could have with you, I know that you're like, well, no, you want to play down how I see, which we're going to get on to all of the amazing stuff that you've done. But Acid House, how did you go from rare groove, reggae, soul, funk, so this takes us back to Acid House? This takes us back to Passion Radio now, and I'm playing like real R&B funk. I'm playing, like, you know, Teddy Pendergrass, Luther Vandross, and you get what I'm saying? I'm playing like Leroy Burgess and just like Roy Ayers, and, you know, I'm playing all this stuff, you get what I'm saying? And Frost is more into the deeper, like Lynn Collins, James Brown, the more, you know what I mean, heavier funk, you get what I'm saying? So, like, we're into that, playing all that stuff. And because we just went out, we used to just go around South London, just like kicking it, going to warehouse parties and stuff like that, just mostly looking gal and stuff like that, probably, you get what I'm saying? That's what you do when you're a kid, you know what I mean? I see this spot, son, they got enough gal down there, and rare. So we ended up down this place in London Bridge, Clink Street, and there's this sound called Shock Sound System. Ashley Beadle, Ashley Beadle and the Shock Sound System boys, they're doing their things, and Evil Eddie Richards is in there, and, you know what I mean? That I didn't know any of this, we're just coming from
reggae, R&B and funk and all that. We just ended up in this place, and it's just completely crazy. Like, never seen anything. Like, I'm like, what the fuck? This is mad. You get what I'm saying? You know, strobe lights going off, people dressed in like cloaks and like long cloaks and long hair and like just all spotty kind of like fluorescence and just madness and just crazy. And the music, it was just like, didn't make sense. You get what I'm saying? Because it was just like, there's no bass or nothing. It was hardly like no groove. It was just like noise and acid sounds and just madness. You get what I'm saying? But weirdly enough, it kind of made sense. And I wasn't on drugs or nothing like that. But with the old mixture of people being, because we're coming from places like where, like blues parties and reggae dances, where if you look at somebody or bump into somebody, you can get done if you touch someone's girl, whatever. But this place was the complete opposite. It was like people being friendly that I don't know them, but they're coming up to me, oh, hello, and giving you water. You want a drink? And I've just never experienced that kind of warmthness going out to a club, because that's not how we lived in our environment before. Everybody keeps their space, you get what I'm saying? And you don't just go up to somebody, hello or whatever, and give them water, or you don't do that shit, or hug somebody or whatever, because it's crazy in like reggae parties and stuff like that. You know what I mean? I've been to parties and seen parties get robbed. The whole blues dance, man, come in and rob everybody. You get what I'm saying? So you look at a man, look pan, and this and that. You know, you spill a drink by accident, you're getting knifed up or whatever, but just because you spill a drink on a man's Crocs or something, and a man, the blood clot. You get what I'm saying? So that, coming from that to this, it was like, whoa, wow, crazy. You get what I'm saying? And like I said it before, the only time I've experienced something like this was probably like if you're on the street on New Year's Eve and it's midnight, and then strangers are come up to you that you don't know, hey, Happy New Year, if you're at a football ground and someone scores a goal and the person next to you don't even know them, but you're all on the same team, and someone scores, so that's what, you know what I mean? That's the only time I felt anything. I'm like, rah,
the togetherness.
For strangers, you get what I'm saying? So I was like, you know what, this is mad, Nigel, man, but we liked it.
You was in.
Yeah, we liked it, man. So we kind of like, we just kind of like followed it.
So you go Clink Street, discover Acid House, and it just made sense to you. It just
like the whole mixture of music, atmosphere, people, everything just kind of like didn't make sense, but felt different. I think I was more curious than curious, you get what I'm saying? And we was always open-minded musically as well, so you get what I'm saying? Although the music was far from what we was just like open-minded about what this was about.
Going on. So you was buying rare grooves, soul, funk, you had Donovan's records, you had all this history of reggae from the sound systems. Right. Had you been hearing house in the record shops or buying any house records?
No, but after that party in Clink Street, we followed it up with Black Market and places like that. I remember the first house record I bought was a record called Wax the Van by Lola.
Right.
Lola, Wax the Van. I remember buying that as my first 12-inch, just trying to like introduce it into my radio show and stuff like that. And just kind of getting that music as well from the labels that we were visiting and stuff like that, because at the time we were getting things like Lou Sensi, kind of En Vogue and stuff, so you know what I'm saying, and then all of a sudden now we're getting this kind of like new because all the record companies, they were on it as well. You get what I'm saying? You know, they could see this change of music that was going on, and so they were all on it. You get what I'm saying? And so like we could get all these music from these companies and stuff like that. So I started to introduce it into some of my radio shows and stuff like that. And I remember the boss Howard going crazy because it was like, what kind of mad music you play up on the radio station? And they all thought me and Nigel was like losing the plot or something like that, because you know, Brixton, everybody knew us in Brixton. Everybody knew what we were about, that we were playing this kind of nice R&B and soul music and funk and reggae. And then all of a sudden we're playing this devil music. Cause you gotta remember yourself.
Everyone called it devil's music.
Yeah, because at the same time, you know, you got the media kind of like didn't understand what was going on. So it was getting advertised in a negative way at the time when acid music first come along. So people didn't understand it. The music sounded crazy. The people dancing looked out of their nuts. You get what I'm saying? They weren't out of their nuts. So it just looked like a drug-fueled thing that parents just wanted their kids to stay away from. And anything that was talked about, it was negative at the time. You get what I'm saying? You know?
Did you ever have any? Have you ever taken one? Never.
No, I have. Yeah,
you have?
Yeah, later on, but during them time there, I looked at all that lot. Everybody did E's and all that. MO Nitrate, I used to hate the smell of it. I was like, ugh. And like acid, I was scared because I was just a weed person. I just smoked weed, and I just look at the people in the scene and think, what the is going on? But I never let it bother me. You get
when
saying?
Did you have your first one?
I don't know, some girl give it to me, innit? She's always a girl, innit?
Yeah, what, in that 88, 89 period, yeah?
It would have been later on, because for years I kind of ignored it.
Yeah.
No! World party.
Right.
Up north, they had a big world party way up north one time. And I remember taking that E and like, yeah, really having a horrible trip where I had to do a set, and about an hour before my set, you know, I found some little place where I could go where no one could see me, and I vomited and I vomited and I vomited and I mean, it's like, oh my God, what am I doing? And I've just felt like, oh man, what have I done to myself? But yeah, that was my first day.
I have to ask everyone who comes round, like, because I think it's ecstasy and acid house and rave culture, they're hand in hand, and I think like most DJs experience it, don't they?
I've never been one for ease,
right?
To be truthful, they always scared me. You get what I'm saying? So, you know what I mean? Yeah.
I was wild.
But when I was with like girls and all that, it was, you know what I mean, they were always, go and have a little nibble,
yeah,
and you know, get fluffy. And
so when you discover, you and Nigel go Clink Street, he says it's late 87, early 88, you go, when so that you have that enlightening moment of like, wow, this is so different to where we're from, and then you go on a road of discovery, like when did you start DJing in the events?
I got sort of got to start playing at Car Wash. These guys called Tank and all that, they had this little rave over in Elephant Castle called the Car Wash. It was legendary, you get what I'm saying? So you know, I got involved in that. There was Rave at the Cave over in Elephant Castle, which was
LSD.
He was Roy Emil that time. Roy Emil. That was his name, innit?
Right. He phoned me earlier. He phoned me, then you phoned me.
And Chalky White.
Yeah. The other Chalk, DJ Chalk E. White. DJ, not MC Chalky White.
Not MC Chalky White. Them guys were running that stuff over Elephant Castle, Rave at the Cave. Yeah. LSD was a big DJ. Big DJ. And
I always say, like, Roy was one of the first superstar DJs of the Acid House Rave.
Right, South London, like, he was the boy, you get what I'm saying? You know? He was the boy and stuff, so like, and then so it's just getting little bits and stuff like that, you know what I mean? But yeah, you know, it was hard, you know what I'm saying? Like Nigel was there, Groove Rider, and you had like the first breakout of DJs or names or whatever, you get what I'm saying? And like, you know, I was never involved in that, you get what I'm saying? And so it was like I was always just there. I used to follow Nigel around or whatever. A lot of people didn't even know who I was at the time, you get what I'm saying? I was just the dread that used to follow Nigel or whatever, you get what I'm saying? And so it was hard, you get what I'm saying, to break through and see all of, like, you had all the like Amnesia House parties, all the big, even you were on these parties, all the big like Dreamscapes. I mean, I was on a few
that
of
was
them.
more mid-90s. I was on them. In London I was more on the Labyrinth and the Desire, wasn't it?
Right. Yeah, because I think Nigel kind of got in with an agency called Beat Mix.
He's Dynamics with Evil Eddie.
That's right. He got in a Dynamics agency, and so that kind of like put him in with like your Cox's Evil Eddie and all them stuff. So he kind of like, you know what I mean? Yeah,
because when I like in that period as just like, because I'm younger than all you guys, in that like 88, 89 period, you had like the Oakenfolds, the Ramplins and all that world. Mm-hmm. But the first lot of names that I really gravitated to were like seeing Jumpin Jack Frost, Groove Rider, Fabio, LSD, Kenny Ken. They were kind of like, they were my like Rat Pack, Rat Pack,
Top Buzz.
They were my like inspirations of like 88, 89. The bit I want to get onto the stuff that fascinates me. While like you're saying like you'd follow Frost about, like he was more the DJ name out of you both. Mm-hmm. You took the path of like record industry, and that like how did you go from like being on
that was just like getting into the. Well, I always started, like I said to you before, we were just always going around record companies, getting promos off all the companies.
Would you say you were hustling to get your promos, or they knew they was aware of you playing?
We built up good friendship with all the A&Rs at Cool Tempo, Champion, Virgin, Effort. I was getting dub plates, acetates, Townhouse acetates, and tapes. Soon as they got like, before it was even pressed up, that I had this man at EMI called Guy Moot, and anything that came out on New Groove Record and all that stuff, he would give it me on tape, and like all Frankie Knuckles Tears before it was even on vinyl. He give me all of this stuff. You get me?
Yeah, I love that.
And I was doing this show called the Promo Show, and they knew about the Promo Show. And so they used to supply me with music, because the Promo Show was all about new music. Yeah, exactly what I'm doing right now to this day. So I've been doing this. When people say, "Oh, Bryan's got all the dubs," or "Bryan's playing new," it's what I've always been doing. You get what I'm saying? I've been doing it because the Promo Show was about just all promos, new tunes, you get what I'm saying? So I've always kind of had that thing for new music, and so the record companies, they all knew me for that. Lisa Loud and all of, everywhere I went, they all, Bryan, we got the new one in from Unique 3, or you get what I'm saying, this, that, and I used to go down there and just, you know what I mean, get all the new promos and play them on the promo show and stuff like that. But what was the question that brought us there?
The question was finding your way into that world.
So basically, now building up this relationship, there was Republic Records, and we used to go around to Republic Records a lot, and there was this guy called Dave Lee, Joey Negro, and like we really built up a good relationship with us. He used to give us all the exclusive new garage tunes that were coming in from the
because he did the house sound of New York Garage and all them albums.
So he used to sort of give us everything early and all that, and he used to have this guy working with him called Guy Moot. No, it's not Guy Moot. Guy Carlton. And so no, what it is, sorry. Simon, there was another guy called Simon Goff. I don't know how I got to know Simon Goff, but he was like Rebel MC's manager and stuff, and he was doing a lot of he was a DJ as well back in the day, Simon Goff and all that. He used to play with CJ Carlos and all them boys. But anyway, so I started to get to know Simon Goff. He had a promo company, and he used to just like send out music to DJs, like it was called Secret Promotion. So he would like work for all the majors, get all the tunes from the majors, and mail out the tunes and all that stuff. And he had this guy called Guy Carlton working for him, and Guy was alright. Me and Guy used to get on, we used to joke and everything, had a good banter and everything. And then he said, "Oh, Bryan, man, I've got a job at Rhythm King." because you know how this thing is, people just move around to move up. He got a better job at Rhythm King, as they're starting a new label called Outa Rhythm, and they want him to run it. And he goes, would you like to come with me and all that? I was like, okay, didn't even think nothing about it, so just ended up going down to Rhythm King. They were based out in Harrow Road, and started to do club promotion work with him, basically. You get what I'm saying? So his job would be just running the label, and my job would be basically just mailing out the tunes and stuff, and just being by his side and just being a good ear for him or whatever, because he always knew that I always had a good ear for the street and all that, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So he always asked me opinions on what tunes this, or what do you think of this, what do you think of that, and everything. So I was just his ears, you get what I'm saying? And it's like, yeah, we just had fun there at Outa Rhythm, you get what I'm saying? It was good, 2 years down there?
Yeah.
And I learnt a lot down there, and signed a few good tracks down there. That's how we did the RNS UK stuff, because RNS was a big label back then. Well, I don't know, RNS was a big label, and we were playing lots of RNS stuff, and I was like, why don't we talk to RNS and see if we can do a deal with them? So we brought Renard over to the UK and had a chat with him, and we started RNS UK. And then somehow, I'm not sure what the relationship was, but there was a label called Warp Records up in Sheffield, and it's a small, I think it was just a small like record shop or something at first, or something like that, and then so really small independent label. And I think some deal happened with them and Rhythm King or Outa Rhythm, where, because Outa Rhythm was we had the backing of Rhythm King and BMG and all that, you get what I'm saying? So I think there was a little collaboration thing, joint thing going on with Outa Rhythm and Warp, whereas anything that Warp brought through, we would put it through through the Outa Rhythm, you know what I mean, system or whatever, so it could get good, stronger distribution and probably stronger branding and all that, you get what I'm saying? And so we had this, so it was like a little collaboration thing with Warp Records, which was cool, because that was around the time like the bleep sounds was like happening, you know, Unique Free and all this stuff was all bleepy, and a lot of it was coming from that Sheffield area and stuff like that. So that was a good time, you know what I mean, for that collaboration with Warp Records, because they came with some big hitters like, you know, LFO, Tricky Disco, and absolutely, it was some mad, like, it was incredible tunes, mate.
So that period, 89, 90, incredible time. What records, tunes can you remember coming through, you promoing, you advising Outa Rhythm to sign?
RNS was probably the one that really was really a good look, because they had a really strong catalogue. My boy Dave Angel was on that and was doing stuff with them as well. And so the RNS, because I loved RNS, and you know, you had tunes like Energy Flash, Joey Beltram, and Outlander, iconic rave tunes, you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, you know? Definitely.
And so to do a deal with RNS was just really mad. But I think the one that kind of just came, and I didn't expect it to do so well, because it was just another track that was on the import, was Go Moby, you know. It's like, it was an import, got it from Black Market, and it was just doing damages. Everybody was playing the track, and you know, I told Guy about it. I said, wow, you know, this tune here, Moby, is like doing things in the clubs and stuff like that. And so when we reached out to Moby, and we did a deal, signed the track, and it got Rhythm King, and I think it got #1 or something like that. Yeah, so it got them their #1 and stuff, and so they were really happy about that.
Because when I talked to you about Moby Go, you kind of play it down, and you're like, I just went to the record shop and I told them about it. But you, in my head, you're A&R in my head, you are going around.
Yeah, but maybe because I wasn't getting paid, as that wasn't my role.
Right.
A&R was not my role. So when I hear people saying A&R at Rhythm King, I'm like, hold on a sec, that was not my role. My role was in club promotions, you get what I'm saying? Although I was bringing things to the table, I wasn't thinking about like, wow, you know what, where's my cut for this or nothing like that. I was just glad because
like
you know what
radio,
it is, because at that time, jungle, drum and bass, jungle, whatever one, it was jungle at that time, wasn't getting the respect. And in Rhythm King, although they were doing like sort of dance music and stuff like that, and even without a rhythm and stuff, they didn't really want to like mess too much with jungle. You get what I'm saying? You did, you know.
Well, for those who don't know, A&R means artist and repertoire, doesn't it? So in a traditional sense of record labels, especially out of rhythm, you'd have a team, you'd have your club promotion team, which you was doing. You'd have the owner, you'd have like office bods and stuff, and then the A&R who would be advising on records.
That's right. Yeah,
picking up tunes and all that.
Yeah, Guy was the A&R. Yeah, my boss Guy was the A&R, but I was just like his ears. You get what I'm saying? You get what I'm saying?
But you wasn't called an A&R, but you did with certain incredible records. Moby Go.
Yeah, Congress, 40 Miles. I think we had a hit with that one as well. Yeah. That was like a cover of the Jimmy Polo.
Did you know Adamski played that? Adamski played the piano on that. Yeah,
I hated that tune. I thought it was cheesy, the vocal.
Dijam difference, left field.
Yeah, so all that stuff now just came through the warp thing. You get what I'm saying? So it wasn't like those things just came through, and it wasn't. I had no involvement in just like I don't like that, or we don't like that. It was just hot tunes coming from warp, and we were just. Bring it on, because it was a no-brainer. The tunes was just sick. You get what I'm saying? So Warp were bringing Jum, LFO, all that stuff was kind of manufactured, made in Sheffield, but because of the joint collaboration that we had with
he was around it all.
So we would be the one that would promoting it. So like, as soon as it was ready to get promoted, it would come down to London, and I'll be the one that go down to Rage and say to Groove Rider Ear or Frankie Bones and all these, and you know what I mean, all these guys, DJs. I just go around and give them their, so that was my job, just going out to the clubs wherever the DJs were, and I got TP for you. I got TP for you. I got TP for you. You get what I'm saying? So
I love it, mate. I love it.
And that's how I kind of got to know a lot of DJs, just by the guy that's giving them the records. You get what I'm saying?
The thing is, for me, right? Even if you don't, let's take Moby Go, and let's take R&S records, right? So you're the one who brought R&S to be signed to Outa Rhythm.
It was the bangingest label, and it was just like a sick ass label. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
And like, you know what I'm saying?
And then Moby Go, you took that in the office and said Outa Rhythm got to sign this. Right. So even though you played down like your involvement at that time, I think I can say as a music fan that R&S and Moby Go are absolute pivotal moments in time.
Definitely.
And no matter how much you played down your involvement, I am saying as a music fan that what incredible achievements to go, right, R&S, that needs to have a UK home, and you go to your bosses at the time.
You know, like going back to like Roll and all them things, them things didn't matter to me. You know what? All I wanted to, I felt like I wanted to prove the world wrong about rave music.
Yeah.
Because we'd been rubbished off and slagged off, and no one took our music serious, and they just thought it was just like here to then, it's going to be gone. And even when I was working at Rhythm King, you get what I'm saying, because you had Rhythm King, which was like the pop department, but within that was me and Guy Outa Rhythm. So there was two different sounds in the one place, and I could sort of feel like sometimes they didn't really take what we were doing too serious, so it wasn't really respected. I mean, there's a story, and this is me now not kind of remembering facts, not trying to cop out or nothing like that, but not kind of remembering the exact facts. And maybe if you talk to Nick, he might say something different, but I remember Guy saying, when you think about this track, And I'm like, this track's killing it, and it was your name's not down, you're not.
Oh yeah. Nick Hawks and Richard. Yeah.
And they laughed after we played it to them at Rhythm King. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because at that time you had tunes like Smarties and all these gimmicky Prodigy and all these people who do these gimmicky.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So your name's not down, you're not coming in. And they just laughed at me and just like laughed me out of the office, like no. And like I'm trying to work out because
you could hear the potential.
Nick made that tune. I need to talk to Nick because Nick made that tune. So I'm trying to work out why wasn't he trying to put it out on XL, or wasn't XL started at the time yet?
I've always wondered, and we will get Nick Hawks here, right? Because I love Nick.
Because I'm thinking to myself, why was that tune Fish to Rhythm King? When Nick
remade it with Richard Russell, who's the owner of XL, Nick.
That's why I'm thinking. I need to get that story right in my head because this is my version of it. So sorry, Nick, if it's wrong. Nick might be right, but my version of it was like it came to us at Rhythm King as a potential track to be signed.
Yeah.
And they just laughed me out. They laughed me and Guy out of the place. It was like nice too because they just weren't ready to go that far, like into
the rave and the breakbeat.
That vibe there, you get what I'm saying?
Tell me about Ability to Ital Rockers.
Wow,
that's
my
stuff.
boy. Now we're talking to my boy Mark, man, because he's coming with some dub shit now. You get what I'm saying? You know, Mark Ital. That's another guy that
did you take them to Rhythm King?
Mark, no, that was
Ital Rockers and Ability to.
Mark knew Guy. The guy Mark knew Guy, and Mark would send down some stuff and all that, and so like Guy was always into reggae music and dub and all that stuff, you get what I'm saying? And so he just loved it, you get what I'm saying? And like Mark was sick, man. So we signed about 2 EPs, I think. Yeah,
when you heard like Ability to Pressure, when you heard Ital Rocker stuff, what did you think as like a music man? As a
reggae man, you get what I'm saying? I was like, wow, this is like a breath of fresh air, man. I love this because this has got roots in it. You can hear the dub in it. You get what I'm saying? And like, Mark is a proper like reggae sound, man. You get what I'm saying? And like, he just brought that energy, and that's the sort of time where I think a lot more reggae people were into jungle. You get what I'm saying? It was like I could go home to Gloucester or anywhere, and all my family and all my your friends and all that, they'd be listening to jungle because it was the sound of the streets at that time. You get what I'm saying?
I think what's interesting here, and why I bring Ital Rockers up, who are a huge dub sound system, Iration
Steppers, man.
An Ability to Pressure, which was really dubby, especially the B-side.
And the bleeps in it as well, don't it?
The reason why I had to bring that up is because straight away when you're taken back to that moment, you start using the word jungle. When you start thinking of those records, straight away,
pure up jungle, that's straight up jungle, man.
You're saying jungle. So what is really interesting, and like when I've done videos in the past where I start saying, well, you can trace jungle back to late 89, 90, maybe not as the sound that you begun to know it in say 93, 94, but when you think I'm about to reach for Iration Steppers, but you're like me, it's not necessarily jungle, but straight away your head, as you're talking about it, is saying jungle, because even though it's dub, bleeps, house, it's the first time we start hearing dub and bass in rave music.
No, well, dub, because there was this, I'll tell you the truth, that there was traces of it from like
the Phantom,
Warriors Dance. You remember that label?
Oh, what? Come on, but all of that around that time. So when you had like No Smoke, Cora, when you had Phantom, when you had
you know what I'm saying? Because I worked with Tony Addis. I worked down there for about a year with him.
When you think of Let the Warriors Dance with the breakbeat and all that. So you start hearing it, but there's something about Ital Rockers that are like...
Well, that was all the same time, though,
all the same time, but, yeah. But it fascinates me that you, as you're thinking about it, you're using the word jungle, and I love that.
Man. Man, those were special moments, special tunes, man. That Ital rockers, you get what I'm saying? He just brought the pure dub influence to those tunes, pure dub, and I don't think people were ready for it because sales wise it didn't go like the normal rave stuff was out there along that thing, you know what I'm saying?
So it was fresh, it was so unique, it really worked for us at the Four Aces. It really caught that
ability to. I can't believe you brought up that name of that tune, man. I didn't even think you'd know that tune, Bill. Seriously,
mate,
I didn't even think you'd know that tune.
Ability 2 is
oh my God,
was an absolute.
I mean, I saw Mark and I was like, Mark, I need some MP3s of all that stuff, because music like that needs to be shared and still out there, and people need to know about these music. You get what I'm saying?
I guess I might have answered the question in my head that I want to ask you, but when did you think, and this might be the moment in time, that you go from Acid House 88, 89 and you're like, wow, this is like a shift in rave music? When did you start hearing, like...
You know what, it's like, I find that impossible to put a finger on it, because I just think like it was just a natural evolution, you get what I'm saying, from acid to just influences of more B lines, you get what I'm saying, and then less. Like there was a time when we would be playing both in our sets, you get what I'm saying? Yeah. We were playing acid house and this new interpretation of like Ital rockers, or
the bleeps and bass,
and if perfect example, if you listen to the Warriors Dance and all that, you get what I'm saying, you mix all that stuff in with, and then
the vocal anthems and the 88,
and then you go straight into some hardcore acid or house, so everything kind of like just mixed in, you know what I mean? So it's hard to find out when it was like, right, that's it now, no more Belgium, no more Dutch, you get what I'm saying? No more US techno, just strictly. I don't think there was a time where
you just naturally progressed.
You just like, you get what I'm saying, you just naturally, and all of a sudden you find that you're playing less this and more that, and the places you're playing are reacting to more of the new jungle or whatever. I remember, like, you know, my first kind of witness of it probably was like after after Rage on a Thursday night. Fabian Gruber, they'd be playing down at Rage, and then there'd be an after party, and I used to do this place called Steppers in Cole Harbour Lane.
414
Club.
Out to Tony and Luke,
Tony and the big dog. Well, that was my first kind of like thing, you get what I'm saying? So like Fabian Groove Rider would finish Rage, and then that would be the after party, so everybody would come from Rage and come down to Brixton to Steppers, you get what I'm saying? And start like 4 in the morning and all that. So like, you know what I mean, that was when my time to shine, and that's the first time people got to hear me as a DJ. Like the people I was DJing, but the people I wanted to hear me, like my people who I looked up to, and Fabio and Groove Rider and all the Eds and the influential people that were coming from Rage, I wanted them to know who I was, you get what I'm saying? Because they all knew Frost and they knew everybody else, but no one knew me, so I was this is my time. And like I would do the first hour, you get what I'm saying, and then Groove and Fab would take over. So in that 1 hour I had to just, you know what I mean?
Do your thing.
Do my thing and let people know who I was and impress them and stuff. So that was a real special time for me at 414 Club, because, you know what I mean, just kind of like letting people see what I could do, letting people realise that, you know, Bryan can throw it down as well. Yeah, man. So
I love that.
And that's the first time I was going back to, that's the first time I think I kind of experienced where you start to be like pure, the music kind of changed from acid techno, and it was more of a black jungle thing, you get what I'm saying? Because like all the and this is where I think the term even jungle, there's this guy called Danny Jungle, and he used to kind of like just be blowing a big horn and all that stuff, and his name was Danny Jungle, and so people used to, oh, jungle, and so I'm not saying that's how the name come about, but I just think like jungle just sounded so right. It just sounded like the perfect name for this music, this kind of black vibe. The jungle, because you think of the jungle, you think of Africa, you think of the jungle, and how dark and moody it can be in the jungle. You get what I'm saying?
I've always said in interviews and in recent weeks when the word jungle gets brought up, the first time I started hearing it was in '89 on Centreforce with Randall. Randall would say on the mic, "You're locked in." He wasn't playing jungle as such, he was playing dubs on Garage House records or playing No Smoke, Cora going, "You're locked into jungle music," taking that inspiration. The other person I heard say it first to me was George Kelly. People were using the word to describe,
and it was jungle was kind of defined. People used to use it as a way of saying black.
So when did your time at Rhythm King come to an end?
Wow, one day just coming to work and they're like, you know what, we need to make cuts. I'm not sure why, but they had to make some cuts within the whole Rhythm King operation, and you always start from the bottom, innit? When cuts need to be made. And this is weird because at the time, after the success of Outa Rhythm, we started a new label called Inner Rhythm, which was kind of like interpretation of more the liquidy, more softer, because Outa Rhythm was more like the heavier underground music that was experimental underground music that was coming through, but we wanted something for the more softer vocally. I think that's where actually 40 Miles come out on, or was that Outa Rhythm? Or
I think 40 Miles Rhythm. I think 40 Miles might have been in a rhythm.
Yeah, I think 40 Miles I think it was this Inner Rhythm was supposed to be the more soulfuller sound, and you had One Tribe, George Kelly. Yeah, what have you done?
I'm gonna have to get that record out as well.
Because that tune was just mashing up the place. I mean, I used to go Thunder and Joy and stuff, and everybody was playing that tune. And so I brought that back to Rhythm King, and I was like, we need to sign this tune.
Such a tune.
And they listened to it, and they thought it had crossover potential as well. You get what I'm saying? So we signed that tune, and it was and it was. I think it was after that tune. Now things was going really good, and they said, oh, you know what, I think they kind of recognized what I was doing. Yeah. And so they said, we're going to give you your own label.
Yeah. Sorry, can I stop you, Bryan, right? The man who says he wasn't A&R and he can't take the credit. So listen to these gems that he has just hit us with, right? So we've already touched on Moby. We've already touched on R&S Records. Anyone who listen, I played One Tribe, What Have You Done at Moondance and at Jackfest at the weekend, right? One of my favourite records of all time. Vocalist gem on that record. I was usher at her wedding, right? Please claim that you signed that record.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I brought that to the office. Yeah. And it was. I mean, the tune. For me, when you. Well, then again, you have to do the signing, but the tune was just, it wasn't like a obscure track that was like, it was doing damage, you get what I'm saying? Because it was on a different label before we signed it. It wasn't like we signed it straight from George. It was on some other label. It was on first.
Well, I think George self-released it, didn't he?
Yeah. And so we just picked up a hot tune that was on the streets and thought, this tune got potential to do more than where it was at the time being on George's label as a small jungle track. We just thought, you know what, if we give this the Rhythm King, our rhythm platform, we could probably get into the charts with. That's how we were thinking, you get what I'm saying? So that was the intention, you get what I'm saying? And they you know what I mean, they were like, okay, cool, we like what you're doing, and they gave me my own label, and I call it the White Label, weirdly enough, you get what I'm saying? It was called the White Label. And the guy from Rhythm King, Martin who owned Rhythm King, he had a nephew. What is he called again? Oh my God! James. Yeah, his nephew James. And he was like, "Oh, Bryan," because his nephew was making like house techno-ish music.
And is James React? Is that James? Different James?
Yeah, different James. Yeah, I know James React as well because he was the one doing all them compilations with all that noisy stuff he was putting that.
I went on the Bonkers albums. That was Dougal, Sharky.
Your mob.
Anyway, your mob. Yeah. Anyway, go on.
So he said, "Yo, my nephew's he's in the studio messing about, making some music. Why don't you go and hook up with him?" So I went over to Putney and I brought some of my samples, some of my records around there, and we knocked up a couple of tracks, and we signed them for this new label that they gave me at Rhythm Queen, and we call ourselves the Megas Project,
right?
And we released the track, and it was another track maybe we got released on that label, and then that was the same time. During that time, Rhythm King said something happened and they had to make cuts within BMG or the whatever they were, you know what I mean? And so they decided to cut the white label, and they had to shut down Inner Rhythm and Outa Rhythm. And I was gutted. But just before that, there was this some guys from Bath, and we were releasing a track called Introduce Me to Love. Some guys, I think it came out on Outa Rhythm or Inner Rhythm, one of those labels called Absolute 2 they were called, and the track was called Introduce Me to Love, and they were like, we got some friends from Bristol, have a listen to their stuff, and I just parked the tape down. I didn't really listen to it at the time, you get what I'm saying, but then when it was time to kind of like clear the desk and all that, I remember the tapes and all that, and I was like, I'm taking these tapes with me, so I took the tapes with me, and that time there was this we had a DJ agency called Groove Connection. Sarah Sandy used to run it, and it was like me, Groove Rider, Frost, Fabio, LTJ, Bookham, and Mickey Finn.
Yeah.
So it was like mostly South London DJs, and it was one of the first kind of jungle agencies, you get what I'm saying, that was established within the scene, you get what I'm saying, and Sarah was she ran it, Sarah Sandy, and I brought it to one of the meetings, the tape and all that, and I was just playing it to all the DJs, everybody, you get what I'm saying, because Frost had heard them already, and I was playing it to everybody just to get some feedback, and Bookham was like, yeah, and I was just getting some pure love, so we said, okay, good, look, let's do something with this music, and sat down with Frost, and me and Frost had cut a lot of tracks from tape, because there's only a tape I had, so we brought the tape to Music House and we cut dub plates off the tape, so it was not even a DAT. I remember Paul saying, where did that there and stuff, because you can't really cut off a tape, it's not really good quality, you get what I'm saying, you need the DAT, and he was cussing us about it. I was like, nah man, just cut the tune, and we start play out the tune them, you get what I'm saying, and the tunes then was doing well. And I was like, okay, really experimental and stuff, really like different. What it was like they had this jungle sound, but it wasn't like the London jungle stuff, like hey, like the Conga Nutty or the Kemet or the Ibiza. Their jungle was kind of like more jazzier.
And when you say they, who was it?
So sorry about this.
You were lost in the memories of the music.
The guys from Bath now. They goes, I got some guys from Bristol there. His name's Ryan, and he's got some more mates, and they're making some good music. So I only knew him as Ryan at the time. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So we went down to Bristol, and met these guys, and Ryan happened to be Ronnie, and he had Kirk, who happened to be Krust with him.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? And I'm not sure if Di was there. I don't think Di was there at the time. No, I think it was just Krust and Ronnie. And we turned up in Bristol, and because I called them up on the tape, and I was like, we want to come down and sign you, and they were excited. So we went down there, and I think Frost as well. Being with Frost was like turning up with Andy C or know what I mean? Because Frost was a huge name at that time, you get what I'm saying? And so like, these guys are like, rah, Jumpin Jack Frost is in my yard, right? Liking our stuff, and Bryan Gee, because like I wasn't big as Frost, but still, you get what I'm saying, I had a name and all that, you get what I'm saying? So these guys were just like chuffed that people were interested in what they were doing, because they didn't think, you know what I mean, they were just like starting their thing, and you know what I mean, not really sure where it was going at the time, you get what I'm saying? So they were just buzzing that DJs from London was coming down and listening to their stuff. And I remember like they giving me some more music, and they was like, yeah, there's more of us, there's DJ Die and there's Sub and blah blah blah. And so like I went back to London with all this music that they've given me to listen to, and you know, just vibing with them, just like when I went down there and just like connected straight away with Roni and Krust, and we just got on, we connected, and they trusted us as well, you get what I'm saying, because they didn't know us, but they trusted us. And I gave them my vision and what I wanted to do. I wanted to start a label from scratch, and they said, okay, we're with you, boss, you get what I'm saying. And they, you know, don't forget, I never released any tunes before, nothing. V wasn't even started. They were the reasons why V was going to get started. So, you know, they didn't have anything to kind of look at to kind of like say, oh yeah, right, like, yeah, this is done well, or they've, you know what I mean?
They just trusted your energy.
Yeah, they just trusted me vision, because there was nothing to kind of reference on, you get what I'm saying? And I was using them as my first release, and I didn't really know them, but, and the Krust's music at that time, it was just like some, I mean, you know, listen to the Deceivers EP, that's some experimental deep shit. Yeah, it really wasn't even just like your traditional or like the normal jungle what was about. It was dark, experimental, and it wasn't club friendly either, you get what I'm saying? And so it was a hard sell, you get what I'm saying? We started the label with VW1, and just people just kind of like didn't get it at all, because it wasn't dance music, it was Deceivers. Who the hell is Deceivers? And it's a new label, so we had everything going against us in terms of kind of like getting that first, you know what I mean? Because we weren't coming in with something like, oh, popular, or a sound that was, I mean, it was a sound, but it was deep, experimental. So, you know what I mean? It wasn't really just going to take off like that, and it wasn't going to go straight into DJ's boxes and get played straight away. So
tell me this. So you discover, like, you put R&S in the UK, you understand all the Ital rockers, you sign One Tribe, your ear is impeccable, right? So you hear this stuff that is different to the jungle techno, different to the ragga that's coming through.
It was a hard sell,
right? But what you knew it was a hard sell, but what made you go, right, this is the way I'm going?
The energy, that the vibe, because although we put out that EP first, you know, the guys had given me tapes of their music, and so I knew what more was to come. You get what I'm saying? I could see like, oh, these guys have got tunes. So this was just we were just testing out the, you know what I'm saying? Because like Frost would tell you get what I'm saying? We cut a lot of dub plates off these tapes, and we were playing them in clubs and certain places outside of London. We were playing them and getting a good response. So we knew we had something special. And yeah, you're right. It was completely different. It wasn't like the Reinforce or the Kemet or the Ibiza or the Rank or Moving
it was intelligent. It was like a really intelligent
it just,
sound.
You know what I'm saying? It was like deep, experimental and jazzy and like funky. So it was different. And you know, but it all ignited something. Just felt like, you know, I've always been about the new sound and experimenting and trying to like explore and take the music as far as it can go, and trying to mess with people's head musically and stuff like that, you get what I'm saying? So I just thought, you know what, there's something interesting here. And it was only till the second EP that with Roni that he kind of had some more traditional, more flavors, like All the Crew Big Up and stuff like that, you get what I'm saying? And like, you know, so there was this track called I forgot, there was one of the tracks and Marky kept playing it, and it had a Burrell sample from New Kruger. Bad boy. It was on the Made to Fit EP, and Rocky and all the Cool FM boys were playing it. So sometimes that's what you need, you know. You just need somebody, people to just
taste make and
get on a tune, and that's what upping, you get what I'm saying? Rocky and all the Cool FM boys was playing this tune, and Cool FM was the sound of the streets at that time. time. You couldn't go anywhere without hearing Cool FM coming out of cars, cafes, bars. Everybody listened because that was the station. You get me saying? Jungle was just coming through, and it was the sound of the street. You get me saying?
Yeah.
And so them guys doing that was just like, it was a good way to get recognized. People kind of had their eye on Ronnie after that Made to Fit EP and all the crew and stuff. And then at the same time, you know, Ronnie had a guy called Krust, and they decided to start their own label called Full Cycle. It was called Full Circle at first, because they had lots of music. So I think they were thinking about this when we met them. They were still thinking that, so they just carried on what they were going to do, put out their own label, but still released with V. So they had just started this label called Full Circle, and they did a track called Music Box.
One of my favourite tunes of that era.
So they did a track called Music Box, and at the same time they did the next track called It's a Jazz Thing, and so they put Music Box on Full Circle at the time, and they put It's a Jazz Thing. I think it was called It's a Big Up Tune. I can't remember what it's called at the time, but they put that on V, and there was just nothing around. There was jungle, but it was just like that jazz, that soul. There was nothing really like that. You get what I'm saying? It just stood out, and you had people like Bookham championing it. You get what I'm saying? Just like smashing the hell out of it, and everybody, you know, Fabio and everybody was just playing. And it was one of those jungle tunes that you could just play in between all the hey wheel up and all that, and it just, the girls loved it because we call it the Omar tune or the Music Box. It was just like the jazz in it and everything, just like, it was just completely, it stood out from everything else. You get what I'm saying?
Because traditionally DJs and labels copy each other, don't they? If there's a big trend or a big buzz, but you're on a trend and on a vibe before anyone. You're not copying anyone and going, well, 31 Seconds is massive, Dark Strangers massive, all these you're just going,
well, I'm trusting these guys, I'm buying into what they're doing. You get what I'm saying? And so I'm just kind of like, I'm not telling them what to do. This is what's coming out of them. It's not like me saying, do more jazz, do more experiment. They're just doing their vibe, their flavour, Bristol vibe. They're bringing something different. You gotta remember, like, you got Manchester, they add like a more piano-y sound and all that, even in their jungle or whatever. You get what I'm saying? And like everywhere, you know, Ipswich and Norwich and all that, they were doing things with like the Moving Shadow. Lots of SS had his sounding up in Leicester and stuff. What he was doing, you get what I'm saying? This kind of jungle with like bassline Smith. So, you know, and it was all different from the London. So you had the London thing. So everybody was, it was jungle, but there was all different flavours of it depending on what part of the country you were from.
Do you think you could identify? Because of your Gloucester roots as well.
That's what I'm thinking, because Bristol just been down the road from Gloucester. You get what I'm saying? I feel like there was that kind of special bond. You know, bond there, because they're from my neck of the woods, and I get it. You get what I'm saying?
I think it's fascinating that, like, you moved to Brixton to be near a vibe, discovered acid in South London, cut your teeth on learning about music in London, but ultimately
it's Bristol, like, where the heat came from.
The West Country in your area, you just have gone straight back there for your first release on V. It wasn't actually V, was it? It was called
Vinyl Experience,
but it's still part of the V V catalogue. I find that trajectory amazing, like down to South London, back to the West Country. I think it's just like,
they guys just, you know, they just had like, you had certain crews and all that, you know, you had the Reinforced guys, you get what I'm saying, and they were just doing magic, and as a collective, you know, all bouncing together, heads from, you know, me and Gus and Mark and all that, and then you had the Ram Boys, Shimon and Andy and Red One, and you know what I mean. So, and when you got these camps, you know, SS and and everybody's vibing off each other and getting energy. So you get what I'm saying? It's like, it was good, all these camps just doing their things, you know, Metalhead's crew and everybody just bouncing off everybody. So, and that's what these guys were doing. Bristol, they would just like would bounce off Ronnie would bounce off Krust would bounce off Sub, and they would just have this energy, man. And it was incredible at the time. It was just unbelievable, man, that the music that they were coming with just like was
fresh.
Oh wow, it just had a freshness to it that stood out and, you know, dominated.
in that period of like late 92, 93 into 94, right? What are like your memories of the raves and the events that you were playing them tracks at and breaking them at, like when you're playing them?
We were listen there, man. When these guys were hot, we were rocking down dances because everybody wanted to hear the Bristol sound, the Bristol sound, the Bristol bass. Everybody was going crazy for it. You get what I'm saying? And like, you know, there was just these guys, like every week they would make new tunes to go and DJ. You get what I'm saying? They would never go, and every week they would be gigging, and they'd drive down to Music House before their gigs with a bag of dats, and we'd be just cutting tunes and testing them out, and wow, yeah, it was just like they just had a vibe that just like incredible, man. The music that they were making, like even now, legendary, you know, classics. And yeah, it was just wow, you know,
it was
memorable
magic
times, man. Yeah, they just had a magic there, man, that was just so good.
Just blew you away. So you're taking the sound all around the country that Roni, Krust, they're all giving you to all the raves, and it's popping off. The sound's popping off
Proper, man. We're rocking down dances. Everybody's just excited about this new sound. Everybody's catching on to it, and they're associating V because the releases are coming out at the same time. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And you're talking big releases, and so you know, you're talking tunes like Set Speed, Fashion. You get what I'm saying? So all these tunes, Time Stretch, and they're all kind of like making their mark on the scene. So as each release goes by, and at the same time they've started their own label, Full Cycle, and they got like, you know, crazy stuff coming out on Full Cycle. Yeah. And so much tunes are getting made, we've had to start other labels. So like, you know, they started another label called Dope Dragon to deal with them more, because like Full Cycle was supposed to be concentrating on the more like musical side of the D&B stuff that they were doing, and so they started Dope Dragon, which would be more just the more like jump uppy, banging street sounds of jungle at the time, with heavy samples and stuff like that. And at the same time, there was so much music, we had to start another label, and we started Philly Blunt and Chronic, just to fit all of this music that was coming out with these guys. You get what I'm saying? There was so much music, we just had to start all these different labels to get them out. And we tried to kind of put things in categories as well. So like Philly Blunt was born out of Leviticus with Nigel, when Nigel went into the studio with Dillinja, and he came out with The Burial, so that was kind of came through that. Chronic was started basically because there was just so much music coming out from these guys. They were putting stuff out on Full Cycle, and they were putting stuff out on V. They was putting stuff out on Dope Dragon, so they made an alias name for Dope Dragon, which was like gang related, mask and stuff like that. And thought we ain't gonna have to do it again. So on Philly Blunts, we just said, you know what, no names, no one, we just leave this one a bit of fun, let people guess who was the artist, and just guess about it, because we like that little mystery, kind of gets people talking and all that, you know what I mean? Not giving them all the information, making them like, you know, for years and years there was tracks which people were still trying to work out up to this day. Who did that? Who did Chronic this? Who did Chronic that? And we're in a time now where people are telling you what they've done before they've even done it, right? So, you know, I'm going to go to the studio and make a bang, and it's going to do top 10.
It was always such a buzz, wasn't it, not knowing who'd made the tune?
But that was such fun, you get what I'm saying? And like, you know, people just got on with it, you get what I'm saying? Because you didn't know it, it didn't really matter. I mean, now you want people to get their flowers, you get what I'm saying? But no one really cared. Of course the producer or the artist probably wanted more attention, but it wasn't a thing that really mattered. It was just all about the music. No one cared about what the person looked like, who they were, where they came from, or whatever, you get what I'm saying? You know, you talk to ravers, and you know, they meet artists now and they're like, oh my god, because they've never known what that person looked like, but they know the music, you get what I'm saying?
Could you Could you choose a favourite track from that era that you released on Philly Blunt or V? I'm sorry to put that on you, because all I've got going around my house is like I've got The Burial, I've got Warning, I've got Set Speed, I've got Warhead, I've got Jazz Thing, I've got so many. All the crews big up.
I mean,
and I'm looking at you and I'm thinking, I'm wondering.
Yeah, there's so much stories behind so much of these tracks. Like with the track with Burial. Burial was when Jack did Burial, and we brought it down to Basement, and they just wasn't interested at all. Phil and all that was like, what I mean, didn't think it would be a hit and stuff, and so that was surprising. I remember pressing up It's Jazzy on a white label, and it was just going to be a white label, another white label on Chronic, It's Jazzy. And I remember giving it to DJ Rap, and she was like, oh my God, this tune's sick. And this I remember playing Warning at Laser Drum and telling Ronnie, and he laughed and said, did you really play that tune? Because these guys were making so much tunes, some of them they didn't even know what they were doing. Yeah. And he sent me Warning with a whole lot of tunes, and that was the one I played. And he was just, what? You played that? Like, to think, really? That's just a, I remember playing Grimy and Dillinja laughing, saying, that's just rubbishing it off. Because so sometimes I think I've been a good person around these guys, because they make so much tunes. Sometimes they don't even know what their best tunes is, because they're just making tunes, churning them out. So it takes people like myself or whatever that play the tune, or to go back to them and say, and sometimes I got laughed out of the place, like, Bryan, don't be silly. And those are the tunes turned out to be some of their best tunes, you know what I mean?
It's mad, just that.
The simplicity of Warhead. No one believed boom, 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 boom could be that effective. You get what I'm saying?
Simplicity is the key.
Yeah, it was a simple tune. And look what it's gone on to do, you get what I'm saying? So
timeless.
And Krust was making, 10, 20 Warheads, you get what I'm saying? It wasn't just like Warhead and that was it. That was coming out of Studio Drum, that's what he used to call his studio. There was many Waters, but that was the one that kind of like went above and did what it did.
Yeah. Just so many timeless things in my head, There's just so many timeless memories, like, of all of your stuff. When do you think all of that music and all that vibe you released, like, it was like, wow, this has taken us round the world. This is getting noticed all over the world. When did that moment come?
Wow. It took a long time, because like I said, I've always kind of just like, not downplayed it, but just kind of like thought I've always never been happy satisfied, not happy. That's the wrong word. Not happy. Satisfied, fully satisfied, because I've always believed that there's more to do. So I'm thinking I'm far away from accomplishing what our mission is to be. You get what I'm saying? So much as people applaud us and like, oh, what you guys have done, I'm like, just, we just started. You know what I'm saying? Although we've been 30 years deep in it, but for me, they're just, because I feel almost like a duty to what I'm doing. I feel like almost on like something just has put me here to do what I'm doing, and for the love of this thing here, I think I feel like a duty to kind of deliver it and push it and get it out there to people as much as possible, and try to make this music get the love and respect. Because drum and bass is like one of my it's like your child, and you always want your child to do good, or your son or whatever, and that's how I want drum and bass. I'm rooting for it, and that's why even when I was working in these record companies and stuff, it wasn't about money. It was just about persuading them, letting them know that this music is about something, and trying to push it out there and get it out there. And that's always been my philosophy. So it's just, I forgot what I was going to say now.
Well, no, listen, mate. I am so wrapped up in what you're saying. As you're talking now, my brain is just saying, like, if anyone wants to know what the secret to success is. Like, you've just unpacked something there about like how you're never satisfied.
Never.
Like you have literally released some of the most groundbreaking records in the history of British music.
But I'm always challenging myself and trying to push myself, and anything that we do, I'm always trying to like do it better next time, do it better. You know, we did V classics, all right, then let me do Planet V. You get what I'm saying? Try and you know what I mean? And then, you know, from Planet V, every album I'm doing, although like it might not be as classic or as strong as like previous ones, that is my intention, to make a bigger. When I did 30 years of V, I was like, you know what, I need to do something that is gonna be stronger than what we've done before and stuff. So I'm never happy, you get what I'm saying? And I'm always trying to do better. So when people say, yeah, you know, wow, I'm like, okay, but you know, we got more to do.
How many records has V had?
Oh, God knows, man. That's one for Gareth, my label manager. Oh, I don't know where I'd be without him right now. So big up Gareth, man, because he's the one that's that problem is with him at the moment in terms of like sorting out all the accounts.
You just want to vibe.
I just put the music out. I say, Gareth, here's a new track. Gareth, here's a new track. And you know, we've got a lot. Our catalogue is massive. I'm scared to really know how much tunes we got, but yeah, we signed a lot of music.
Yeah, liquid music. I always feel like liquid should still be like a big thing, or tell me about liquid in your heart.
Well, you know, liquid was coined by Fabio, really, just like how, you know, we give music names about our feelings, and liquid V just felt right for. Or liquid actually just felt right for that style of drum and bass. You get what I'm saying? Because it just kind of like, it just made you think, yeah, that's liquid. It's more like a liquid is soft. You get what I'm saying? Water. And so it just made you kind of think a softer version of D&B, which was perfect naming for it. You get what I'm saying?
Perfect, and I think every summer needs more liquid.
Yeah, and you know, when it first started, you had all the big producers making liquid and stuff, you get what I'm saying? So that's how it thrived. You had Caliber, Marcus Intellect, you know, Marky, all the big names, you know, Total Science. And so it was massive, and it was getting into all the DJ sets because the big you know, the big producers were making it. But now the big producers aren't making it so much. And so it's not in the, you know what I mean? It's just not in the DJ sets anymore, which is a shame, because I think abroad, liquid music is more appreciated when you go abroad. And you know, one of my dreams, and really something that I want to see, is liquid nights get bigger, especially here in the UK, because there's so much beautiful liquid music about, and it's a shame. Like, I was leaving Saturday night, I had a night up, and I phoned one of my boys and I goes, is anything on? And he reeled off a few events, and they were drum and bass events, but I wanted to go somewhere where I'm not going to just hear like banging jump up music or tear out. I wanted to go somewhere where I could hear some liquid, and you know, this is the capital of drum and bass. Yeah, London, and you can barely find a good quality drum and bass liquid night, which I feel is a shame, because I think that should be a given. Every Saturday, every Friday, there's supposed to be somewhere where you can go and hear liquid music, and hear
soulful liquid music.
Come on, man.
Yeah, I always say to Gareth about we need more liquid. What was it like when you crossed with Marky?
Oh well, the whole Marky thing was
explain that moment of like V having that record with Marky and Stamina, and it crossing. Did you go to Top of the Pops with them?
Yeah, the Brazilian connection was just like, it brought so much to VRecordings as well, because it brought the whole Latin world over to the label. It opened up the door to the Latin world that, you know what I mean, that didn't know us and we didn't know them and stuff, you get what I'm saying? And you know, it just came at a good time when I think it was a breath of fresh air for drum and bass music, you get what I'm saying, you know? And everything just worked naturally, you know. We were doing bar room by this night called Movement, and Chief came over, DJ Petit from Brazil, and he was on holiday, and he was like just going to the clubs and stuff, Metalheads, all the nights Swerve and stuff like that. He turned up at our club, we loved it. he went back home, and he wrote to us and said like, oh man, I want to do a movement night in Brazil, like a franchise, you get what I'm saying, and with you guys blessing. And we're like, well, we'd have to be there because you can't just do it and we're not there because you know, we don't know what kind of night you're doing. So we invited Ado, because I was doing bar rumba with a few guys, Dave Stone, Oliver and Ado, which was Bulldozer Media, and Martin from Botcha and Scarpa. So it was all like a crew of us, and we started this night called Movement at Bar Rumba. And yeah, so basically we got the invitation to go to Brazil. I just wasn't interested at all. I was like, what Brazil? What does Brazil know about? So it was just like I don't know about this, man. Brazil, you go, Ado. You get what I'm saying? Because Brazil just was not on our radar in terms. So I just thought it'd be well, maybe the holiday would have been good, but I didn't see nothing musically worth going out there for. You get what I'm saying? Brazil never heard, you know what I mean? It's a London thing. This thing was a UK thing. You get what I'm saying? And Brazil, what do they know? So, well, I got to find out soon. You get what I'm saying? But so I was like, nah, man. And then Ado went out there. Ado, one of the guys from Movement, and he went out there and he's like, boy, Bryan, you need to come out here, man. This thing is happening. It's popping off out here. I'm like, yeah, all right. Then so they prepared a flight for me, and there was a night called Lovey, and it was a Thursday night, and it was basically like bar rumba movement that we were doing on the Thursday night. It was almost exactly the same when I got there. It was like the same kind of size, and DJs was playing in there, and you know, I'm there like walking around thinking, yeah, okay, this place looks wicked, and everybody's there, Bryan Gee and stuff, and everybody's excited for me and stuff, and I'm just getting ready to play now and shit, and checking out the place, and then this DJ called Marky comes on, like warm up, you know, like resident DJ to warm up, open up before me, and I'm like, okay, let me check him out. 'Cause everybody's like, oh, you need to listen to this DJ Marky, but I'm not expecting anything spectacular to what I got. So I was like, there. I don't even think I was really taking much notice. I think I'm chatting to people and just chilling and stuff. But then you can't ignore what you're hearing. You get what I'm saying? Yeah. And I'm like, hold on a sec. Let me just open up my ears a bit. What's going on here? Because I'm the guest. I'm the man. I'm supposed to bring the noise, right? Not no bloody resident DJ, right?
And from somewhere you didn't think
from bloody Brazil as well. You get what I'm saying? So I'm like, hold on a sec. What's going on here? Man trying to like take my woe, right? You get what I'm saying? Because you know, when you travel about and you go, especially out of town or abroad or whatever, Billy Bunter's in town. It's all about you, isn't it, Billy? You get what I'm saying, you know? And you got your guest DJs, or not guest DJs, resident DJs, and they just do their thing. But really and truly, it's not until you start that maybe the sound gets cranked up, and people come out to smoke. The party started now. The MC's on board. You get what I'm saying? This guy wants to start the party early, right? This guy doesn't know the rules, right? Either he's trying to like, okay, I'm gonna like use this opportunity because I know everybody's here to see Bryan, so I'm gonna use this opportunity. Or he's just a natural bad boy anyway, and that's what he does. Yeah. And it was the latter. He was just a natural bad boy. He wasn't trying to impress me. It was just what he did. And I was like, oh my God, this guy is like tearing out the place, vibing out the place. He's doing things that we DJs don't do, like smile. How dare he? He looked happy because, you know, you got Groove Rider and Fabio that looked like moody when it was DJ, and everybody prospered. So everybody was kind of like back in the UK. No one smiled. It wasn't. I think you would feel embarrassed.
Well, you were from rainy, cold England, weren't you? And he was from sunny Brazil.
Plus, you would feel like clapping to the crowd and smiling. I think you'd feel a bit cheesy doing that kind of thing.
Feel like me coming out on stage in a three-piece
we leave that to the happy hardcore DJs, but we were real serious DJs, right? Not like you, like, oh yeah, and all that bollocks, right? We just like look mean and moody. You get what I'm saying? And you know, them times I had my lock, so people couldn't even see my face. You get what I'm saying? So it was like that was my image. And to go to Brazil and see this DJ smiling and looking happy, clapping, And not only that, he was mixing and scratching. The only time I heard scratching in jungle was DJ Hype, and they would be like, but this guy was spinning round back ways, and he was doing all lifting up turntables, and I'm like, what? How the fuck did the Negro stay on the decks when he's doing it sideways? And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, never heard mixing like that in my life. You get what I'm saying? Like, especially in jungle, the way he was scratching it, and waving to the crowd, fist pumping to the crowd, jumping up, just bringing joy, energy. I was like, oh my God, I got my work cut out here. And only because I'm the G, and you know my box is full of dubs, right? So you know what I mean, right? No matter, I didn't have the skills or whatever, but I got the music. You get what I'm saying? So like them times you got tunes like Watching Window and all these, like, you know, it's jazzy. All these tunes from like the Bristol boys were just on fire at the time. You get what I'm saying? And so I had all these dubs in my box, and that saved my ass. You get what I'm saying, right? So as soon as I come on, I was like, bop bop, you know, but Ed Rush and Optical dub plates, Roni, everybody just dub plate, and so I managed to just take back some of the, you know, shine,
some of the shine.
Took back the shine, I took back the shine from Marky and all that. But I was so impressed with him, man. I was like, oh my God, man, we got to bring you to the UK, because people need to see what I've just witnessed tonight, because I've never seen anything like this in my life. Just the way he put a set together. He didn't have like the new music, but it wasn't about that. He just put the vibe together. He didn't need the dubs and all that like I was playing. You get what I'm saying? He just put a set together, and he just made it fun, energetic, and smiling and connecting with the crowd. Was just like, I was like, wow. And his mixing skills was, I've never seen anything like that in the world ever with our music, you know, with hip hop, but I never seen Hype was the nearest, and we all like, wow, Hype, because Hype, like, you know what I mean, was the best out of everybody in the UK to do that shit in our scene. But he was on a different level, so I was like, rah, brought him back to Bar Rumba, and we did a night, and the rest is history, man. When the UK got to see him.
And when did he give you LK? When did you first?
That was the funniest. That was a weird one, because he did. LK wasn't, which I'm a bit annoyed about, because you know what I mean. I thought LK would have been for me and all that, but he told me now after we released it. He told me this story that, oh, Bryan, I first, because he had a good bond with Marcus Intellects, right? Marcus Intellects, like when he came over, you know what I mean. I think maybe because Marky, you know, Hype certain DJs, because being in Brazil, he would follow like, you know, the people that he really like inspired him. DJ Hype, because maybe the scratching and stuff, he could connect with that. You get what I'm saying? Marcus Intellects and Dillinja. So there's certain people, and so like coming to the UK, meeting these people was really a thing that he wanted to do. You get what I'm saying? And he went to Manchester and met Marcus, and they clicked and they got on really good and stuff. You get what I'm saying? And somehow LK bypassed me and was offered to Marcus first. You get what I'm saying? I'm like, anyway, we'll pass on that one, right? Because it's all love, but Marcus is very into his vibe and his style. Although he loves drum and bass, but he's got a certain, you know, like intellects and solar. He's very. Marcus is one of them people I find it hard to send a tune to, because I'm like, you're gonna like this, because he's so like, he's got a certain style. Him and Goldie, there's certain people I'm like, God, do I really want to send this tune to these guys? Because I know how they are. They, you know what I mean? They're connoisseurs in their style of music. You know what I'm saying? They're really like particular about a certain style, and no, you know what I mean? And they ain't compromising that style. Every time, you know what I mean, you won't hear them playing anything other than that sort of vibe. You get what I'm saying? And so I'm like, shit, is this too jump uppy, or is this too wishy or liquidy or whatever? So there's certain, even Bookham, he had to cuss me the other day, just said, send me everything, because I always think to myself, I'm just going to send Bookham liquid, because we got this persona of we put people in boxes and categories. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And you think, oh, this is what they're known for, so this is all I'm going to send them. And you don't send the other stuff. And you know, Bookham had to cost me, send me everything, jump up, rollers and all that.
In case he finds something. Yeah.
So
I'm sorry. I want to go.
I missed and I go back to Marky now.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry about that, man. So like, Marky, sent the tune to played the tune to Marcus Intellects, and he didn't want to. It wasn't his vibe. He didn't say he didn't like the vibe. It just wasn't his vibe.
And you become second best.
Second best, or maybe third. I mean, we need to find out anyway, right? So he came to me eventually, and straight away, you know me, I'm just like, yes, you get what I'm saying. You know, I loved it. I loved the Brazilian thing going on in it, and I think maybe that was part of the thing that Marcus never really put out no music with that Brazilian vibe. On soul, it wasn't his thing, you get what I'm saying? So maybe that was it anyway. So we signed it, and it didn't have no vocals on it. We just signed it, and yeah, the tune was just taking life in the clubs and all that. You get what I'm saying? It just stood out. I mean, before that you had Samba Sim, another track. So the kind of things have started to be set up already for LK with Samba Sim, because Samba Sim was even more Brazilian, more samba-y and slower. It was like really slow, and it had like the Brazilian percussions at the beginning, so it wasn't an easy tune to mix and stuff. And I remember like Andy C asking me for the tune, and I'm like, rah, if Andy C's playing Samba Sim, big things is going on, because it wasn't your kind of tear out, bouncing, like whatever, you get what I'm saying? But that's how much this, you know, everybody loves Samba Sim. Andy C started to play it, so when LK come, everybody had sort of knew about. You got like Brazil was making its noise already with other productions, Drum Magic, and there's other artists doing stuff, you get what I'm saying? So people were aware of the Brazil sound already, you get what I'm saying? So when LK came, it was like, here we go.
Would you say that's been the most commercially viable track, most widely known track on V, because it crossed over? Like,
I'd say that, yeah. You know, I mean, you know, everybody knows LK. I mean, it depends on because it's like, you can say that, but everybody knows Scorpio Trouble.
Yeah.
And because of Spider, can't see me face, balaclava, right? Boo-doo-doo-doo. So everybody knows that tune, you get what I'm saying? And then everybody knows Warhead.
Yeah.
Boom, 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 boom. So that's, you know, but I think commercially, as like worldwide, I probably got to say okay, because you know,
that's what I think,
we got onto Top of the Pops with that tune, you get what I'm saying?
And you went to Top of the Pops with her?
Yeah, oh man.
What was that like?
That was cool, man, because we had to get a stylist. My friend Jessie, big up Jessie, man. She was our stylist, and all these things that you got to do to kind of like get artists prepared to go on Top of the Pops. You can't just rock up there or nothing like that. You got to get your stylist, and they got to do you up makeup and everything, and it was just nice, just being at Top of the Pops, something that you grow up on watching for years and years as a kid. And now I'm there, well, not on, but I'm there like with these guys and watching them perform, you know, Stamina and XRS, and so that was really good, and just being in the charts as well, and it was a great time.
So, because when you think back to how you come into the record industry, like working for Outa Rhythm, that's always the goal, isn't it, for labels, especially in that era, to cross over. Obviously, by the time you've set up Philly Blunt and V, that's not the goal. The goal is to just vibe and release wicked tunes. So when you crossed, when you got to that point and you'd signed a track and it crossed over, in my head, that's like the ultimate record industry label thing to do if you're behind the scenes A&R brain.
Yeah, I mean, you know, there was a massive buzz around the label at that time, you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Crazy buzz on the back of Marky, the tune as well. So yeah, it just opened up doors, you get what I'm saying? You know, we ended up like touring America, touring the world with Marky, Australia, all over the place.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was, you know, and Marky, everybody wanted to see this wizard DJ, you know. It was just like, people were just excited. It was like the Beatles coming to town when Marky was around, you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, his energy,
he was just this like incredible kid from Brazil that had these incredible skills that up to now, I mean, when you go to Brazil, you can find 100, don't want to say in a bad way, not like 100 Markies, but a lot of DJs have got that Marky skills where they can pick up turntable. We only see Marky because we're from, you know what I mean, we're outside of Brazil.
But
you go there and there's enough DJs that put the turntables and do all that. There's that DJ Andy and all these guys, and they can do all of that. So it's almost normal.
It's been passed down from
it's
his
normal
vibe,
out there. You get what I'm saying? But for people who are outside the world to see, up to now, I'm still watching Mark and I'm like, how do you turn a turntable up like sideways and not stop the need and keep the
mind blowing.
I'm still trying to work that out now, but and he does it every time he just gets bored in a club or whatever. You just pick up the turntable, no matter what club it is, hot, dark, whatever, and just pick it up and I'm like, oh my god, if I could just do that once in my life,
so
I'll be happy.
So DJ, as I said at the start, like for me, you're the DJ's DJ, and I know that so many people will back me up. No, don't play it down.
I'm not playing it down. I'm just saying we've all got heroes.
But no, trust me,
I've got my heroes.
Right, you've got your heroes. Right, so there's that. There's the playing down of the A&R in. You can call that what you want to call it, but as far as I'm concerned, without you, R&S wouldn't have been so readily available in the UK. One Tribe, what have you done? Blah, 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 blah. Right? There's so much going on in your mind, and there's so much coming out of your heart, more importantly. One thing we haven't touched on, and just quickly, the importance of promoting Bar Rumba, Planet V, your 30 years tours. Why is it important for you to be promoting as well around your recordings label?
Well, it's important. It goes hand in hand, you got to bring the music and to reach the people, and to reach to your fans and all that. We got so much fans out there. You probably seen me going around the world, and people have got tattoos all over their bodies. You get what I'm saying? Like, and I'm not just like, I don't know, maybe there's a lot of other labels that people do it to, but I don't see. I'm astounded, you get what I'm saying, to see like all Colombia, Australia, anywhere I go, Asia, people coming up to me nearly every place I go now, every week. Like weekend I went out to 2 guys out in Birmingham. Everywhere I go, people have got V tattoos on their bodies, and you know what makes me really happy as well? These are young. They're not even just like old fogs like me, right? These are like young people that have tapped into our history, and I'm like, rah, these are young people, and they've got V tattoos on. Whereas you think, okay, they might be associated with something more younger, a brand that that's coming through with their age group or whatever. But no, they got V tattoos on their bodies and stuff like that, and that just really moves me when I'm in a club and people say, Bryan, look, and it's like a 25 year, my mom used to play all your tunes, or my dad, or my uncle, or my granddad.
I think
used to play all of this stuff, and I'm like, wow, and I've got the tattoo, and I'm like, oh my god, and it freaks me out. It freaks me out. You get what I'm saying? But you know what? I grew up on just like Motown records, right? And Studio One, this reggae label called Studio One.
Love it, right? Love it.
And the Motown records. And my dream is to make V the Studio One and the Motown of this genre, because when I talk about reggae music, Studio One is like one of the kind of blueprints of reggae music. So many artists have learned their trade. Legendary great artists all started on Studio One, and then they went off to do other things. You get what I'm saying? Motown records. So many great R&B artists started off on Motown, and some of the best music in R&B is from Motown. You get what I'm saying? And that's my dream, to make V the Studio One, the Motown of jungle music, and also like a blueprint. Whereas, in years to come, when people want to reference about jungle music, I want V to be one of the go-to references of people like, this is what jungle music is. You get what I'm saying? Because, and especially now in a time where, the flavor, music is getting called jungle, which is there a debate now that some of it we should get? I don't know. I mean, I don't want controversially or what. Is it a time to call some of this music something else? Because I don't know. I mean, or is it me just being old and losing sight and not being able to move on, and in a way where the music is developing, or is it developing in the right way, or is there a lot of just selling out for money and a lot of people going along with this? And are we heading to dangerous places for quicker success? And you know, I'm not sure, but sometimes I feel like the music is great. You know what I mean? It's gone global now. You get what I'm saying? Everybody knows about that. So I'm glad of all these other stars that's made it get to that, because you get what I'm saying? And, you know, if it was just the raw, undiluted jungle, it wouldn't. You know what I mean? So you need all of these other little whatever to make it grow to where it is now. But it's my baby. So I care about this music. You get what I'm saying? And I don't want to see like it get
go
trashed,
down past you. You've just given my musical mind so much to unpack
because
there.
It's like, you know, I don't want to be controversial and stuff, but is some of this drum and bass? I don't know, because I try to think to myself, if I didn't know nothing about drum and bass, and someone said, yeah man, listen to this tune, you know, some of the tunes that I'm hearing in the charts and all that, I would run a mile. You get what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? I would be nowhere near it. You get what I'm saying? It's, you know, I don't feel no bass, I don't feel no groove, I don't feel no rhythm. And we got to make sure that we don't lose sight of this, you get what I'm saying? Because these are important elements. So, you know, bass, I don't hear bass in some of the music anymore. Just eye, hand and noise. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And, you know, everything's got a part to play in it. We've got a part to play in it. Social media, the promoters, the whole thing. You get what I'm saying? And I just try to play my part. You get what I'm saying? You know?
Yeah, mate. Listen, the first thing I'm going to unpack that you've just said is you said you just want to be the Motown or the Studio One of this music. Now I'm a music fan. You know I'm a music fan, right?
That's big talk.
I'm saying you've absolutely done that. For me as a music fan, and for me as an admirer and someone who's inspired by you've absolutely done that in this music, right? That's the first thing I'm going to say. The second thing I'm going to say is we're so far down the line now that there's so many aspects of drum and bass and hardcore and all of that stuff. And I truly believe that as long as you're about drum and bass, he's got to have soul and a heart and bass and rhythm and
not just me. There's a few of us that still like adamant about that. You get what I'm saying? And like much as I love, because you get what I'm saying, it's about the whole thing growing. So you know, I love what everybody else is doing, and it's just making our thing bigger. And the bigger it gets, you get what I'm saying, even if that's not what you're into, it's gonna open up more ears, and those ears are trickle down and find VRecordings or find what they want. You get what I'm saying? So, you know, I'm not trying to like rubbish all that up or whatever, because all this is just making this whole thing bigger. And eventually, you get what I'm saying, you always, like kids now, when they first get into this music and stuff like that, they always like jump up, but then eventually they, you know what I mean? And
discover other things. They're like,
I like rollers now, or I like liquid, or I like, you know what I mean, Alex Perez or whatever. But at first, they just know about the thing that, you get what I'm saying, that, you know what I mean? So just let what's going on go on. But you get what I'm saying? But I do kind of like look at it, it's like my babies, and I hope that they're being treated right, and I hope that, you know what I mean, it's not, and it does give me a irk sometimes that good music ain't getting the platform it deserves because of a lot of
the commercialism of the way it works.
I get it still, you get what I'm saying, but it still hurts me that really good talented artists of music don't get that platform, or especially like as well artists that are not social media savvy as well. You get what I'm saying? I really feel sorry for these guys. People are like, well, things have changed now, and if you're not if you can't do your social, you're in trouble. It shouldn't be that way, but it is that way, unfortunately. But it's because there's some great artists, but they just don't want to be on social media talking about things. They just it's sometimes it's just not you. It's not that, you know what I mean? And you can't force it, and they're suffering because, you know, the way this thing goes. Even we've kind of like found ourselves like, oh, when we're talking to artists now, can we get some content? Can we get this? Can we get, and they're like, oh, we need content, because we realize now that's when we get content, the track does 10 times better without content. And I'm like, that's the way of kind of like selling the music now.
It's part of it now, and it's look. You're never going to say to an artist, well, don't do it, because you come from a world of club promotion. So it's just the same now. Brian, I want to do a part 2, a part 3, a part 4. I don't even think that we're running out of time now. We haven't even finished, really, is it? You have come with so many gems and jewels and stuff like every, just that there of how you've just spoke toward.
I thought we was going to run out, but we ain't even got to.
Mate, we haven't even begun. We haven't even begun. All I care about is that you wanted to come and talk about music. We have spoke about music.
Next time me and Jack come together and we can thrash out the last part or something like that.
You two can argue over did you buy a watch or didn't you buy a watch.
That's right.
I just think you're one of the most inspiring characters that British heritage dance music has ever had. Don't play it down. Let me have my moment. And you've just
now, man.
Don't be cringy. Right, but trust. Listen.
I'm just a pawn in this thing here, man, and Brian, I'm just doing the moves, man. I'm just a pawn in this game,
I love you, and your story's incredible. And if you was to give up and coming artists, up and coming labels, promoters, all the things that you've been successful in, any advice, what would your advice be? And
it's simple, just be you and believe. I mean, it's easy to say, you get what I'm saying, and that's why I'm always there, kind of like, I like to have this close connection with all my artists and all that, you get what I'm saying, and make sure that they know that I believe in them, and if they believe in themselves, you get what I'm saying, I will back them 100%, and if I see them not believing in themselves and trying to do things for that quick sort of, I'll let them know about it, you get what I'm saying. So just believe, or just believe, just trust yourself, you get what I'm saying. And it's easy to say try and be original, because you don't know what that is. You just do your thing, and I know you're going to get inspiration and stuff from other things. That's how it works, you get what I'm saying. So it's hard not to say just don't ignore what's going on out there, but just believe. Believe in your thing, and always trying to stand out, stick out, do something that is going to make your sound different, because there can only be one break, there can only be one caliber, there can only one DJ Marky, you get what I'm saying, there could only be one Billy Bunter, you get what I'm saying. So you got to
we wouldn't want two of them, mate.
So you know what I mean, you can always like vibe off what someone's doing, but you're never ever gonna, you know what I mean. So you know what, people try to be like Dillinja or this and that, and you know what I mean, you just get tagged with that. Oh, he sounds like Dillinja or whatever. You need to be the creator, the originator, you get what I'm saying. So it's easy to say, but I would just say believe.
Yeah, I always say.
And try and make a difference as well. Think, you get what I'm saying, trust and try and just think outside the box. You don't have to think too crazy or nothing like that, but just try and think out the box and just believe in what you want to do. You get what I'm saying? It might not be people's flavour or whatever, but trust yourself, back yourself,
be authentic in yourself in it. Brian, thank you so much. No, you was going to say something else.
Yeah, but I just want to say quickly before I go, I just want to say, because we haven't even touched on like the last 10 years. I just want to say I've been around some great artists in the last 10 years, and they've bought into the V vibe, whatever else side, Alibi, Command Strange, Porty, Ed Oberon. It feels like V 20, 30 years ago with Roni Size. It feels like this new edition has just took on the vibe and the flavour and everything and just brought it to the next level. And V couldn't be where it is without good artists. It's alright saying, yeah, Brian, you got a good ear. I got to have a good ear to listen to good. I have the music to have a good ear for, because I'm not making the music. So if I haven't got that good music around me, then nothing's happening. And I've been blessed from the beginning, Ronnie and all that, right through to artificial intelligence and all them boys that I was messing with, to DJ Marky, to now these new Brazilian boys, Selector, Command Strange, Need for Mirrors, Moses, my boy that I brought from New Zealand, told him to come over to the UK, and he's here now doing his thing. So many people, that artists that, you know what I mean, that brought this V funk, continuing the V vibe, and making V be the label that it is. And you know, as I said, I'm just a pawn. You just give me the products and I'll just make it happen. And I just feel blessed that I got artists making great music. And you know what I mean, yeah, I just want to say thanks to all the artists, everybody that contributed to VRecordings making it what it is. And yeah, long may we continue, man.
Love it, mate. I've just sat here with a smile all the way through, just hearing you talk about music, and I love that. I love your passion. It's inspiring.
Thanks for having us, Bill. Big up, man.
Part 3, 4, 5.
Thank
Thank you, mate. It's an honour to have you here.
All right, big up.